What's up, my dudes? How are we doing? Well, it's official. They released the 11.2 patch notes, so everything is set in stone, in quotation marks with an asterisk on the side, because obviously things could change whenever. But for all intents and purposes, this should be how we go into the next patch. We got so many patch changes to discuss, Keck W. Not wrong. Not wrong. Chat, is Windwalker cooked? Oh. Um, no. Crazy take, no. But another take is yeah. But like crazy take is no. I'm gonna go through it all. I've actually got a hell of a lot of structure to this video. I don't really ever structure my streams, I suppose. I'm not gonna be streaming for like 4 hours today. I'll go over why. TLDR, it comes back to the guide video. I've got so much fucking work to do on this thing. It's genuinely insane. Like I had it like like I prepped this guide video and I've been working on it for like the past week now, and then change after change after change is just like fucking. It's not quite back to square one, but oh my god, I've got to make so many changes. So this is mostly going to be talking about everything. Let me look at this structure. Wow, look at all these tabs I have open, ready to go. The idea is that we're going to talk about the patch notes, as you can see initially on the screen. Then the tier sets, talent profiles. I'll touch on the guide and stuff a little bit, I suppose. Conduit vs Shadowpan, and I'll be good. And if there's time, I suppose we'll run a couple of keys. TLDR, no Shadowpan keys though, because it's still broken. But that's okay. We're only 1 week away from the patch launch, right? Right? We're only 1 week away. Oh fuck. No, I think it'll be fine. I think on launch Shadowpan will work, but it's just really frustrating that you still cannot test it. It's not been testable for like weeks and weeks, and I can't really even show you stuff with it. It's even more despair because like I can't even get footage for the video that I'm trying to make for it, right? Like like I have some footage from week 1 and week 2, which is useful, but like obviously more recent footage is also good, right? Because I want to look at specific things. Well, I can't show you specific thing. I don't know. It's fucked. GG. All right. So the new 8% buff, as I understand it, they wanted to even the 2 hero talents out, so now they nerf Conduit and buff Shadowpan, aka tank damage. Now we got nerfed into the Abyss. Please tell me I'm wrong. You are kind of wrong. We're not nerfed into the Abyss. I think we were just brought back to Earth, you know. Look, I'm trying to look at this optimistically. There's no point like dooming and stuff. Like we're not bad, but we have definite weaknesses, right? But we do have strengths as well. Let's start with the patch notes because it's right on our screen. This is it. This is all they published for Windwalker. Like under the tag Windwalker, right? This is all they published. All damage increased by 13%. Now, on paper, there are 2 ways of looking at this, right? The first way of looking at this is 13% buff going into next tier. That's actually pretty good, right? Like, we're going to be 13% stronger than we were this week on live. So you go into next tier, and you'll actually, I think you'll do good damage in like your normal prog, your heroic prog, stuff like that. Initially in dungeons as well, we're stronger, 30%. Like that is actually good. Like I wouldn't underestimate that. But it's like every other. It depends how you look at it. Because I look at it from the PTR angle, where I've been like obviously keeping up with the cycle, looking at buffs and nerfs to tier sets and stuff like that. And this technically was meant to. This is meant to be like how they balance the nerf to the tier set in a way, right? So they nerfed our tier set for Conduit. It was too strong, and it was expected, right? I think it was about a 30.7% damage increase having the 4 set, which is absurd, right? These numbers are crazy. Like it was expected, but maybe not so bad. Or the expectation was that it would get nerfed, right? It would get nerfed, but the damage that we'd get in reparations for it would kind of balance out. It hasn't really balanced it out. So although we have got a 13% damage increase going into next tier, by the by max eye level standards, which is what everything's done by, right? Like top sims like this and stuff are all done by like max eye level. For Conduit, for Shadowpan, that's how like specs judge their sim DPS and stuff. In comparison to that, with the nerfs and this compensation buff, it technically is a 7.2% roughly nerf to Conduit, which was our strongest hero talent by far. Like initially, before the other day, before these changes came in, you weren't playing Shadowpan. It was genuinely illegal to play Shadowpan, which completely fucked my guide video, by the way, because I've completely worded it in the sense of you're not playing Shadowpan, but now we're playing Shadowpan. Surprise, spoiler alert, you are going to be playing Shadowpan, and in some situations it's going to be better. So you better start practicing those flurry strikes because it is going to see play. Oh boy. Okay, so yeah, that's all there is there on the Windwalker one. It is worth mentioning, I suppose, the Vivacious Vivification redesign. I will touch on this in the guide and stuff. I think this is good. Like, in a weird way, I didn't like it initially, but actually, if you're in combat, yeah, you're going to be Rising Sun kicking a lot, especially with, like, Zuin's battle gear. So, like, previously in Season 2, you didn't actually Rising Sun kick that much in single target. You only did it when you wanted to Whirling Dragon Punch, right? But now a lot of the builds revolve around Zuin's battle gear, which reduces the cooldown of Fist of Fury. So, you're actually pressing Rising Sun kick a lot more than you used to, even in AoE, if you're running Zuin's battle gear, right? So, in combat, this is actually good. You're going to actually get a lot more instant Vivify procs. And it's also like a 20-second cooldown on it. Like, so once you proc it, you have 20 seconds to activate it. So in combat, this is actually really good. This is a buff to our self-healing. Outside of combat, it's kind of cringe, right? like it is kind of cringe. But that's why they invented Soothing Mist. But I'm not going to get too into that, to be honest. I do touch on like Soothing Mist and stuff like that. But the TLDR is, if you want to be able to like insta-vivify yourself outside of combat and stuff like that, or without having to Rising Sun kick, you will have to take those talents, because that will then allow you to do so, right, if you use it on yourself. Oh my god, Veals, thank you for following. Appreciate it. Is there still the exploit to prep flurry strikes on training dummies? Great question. I actually wasn't too sure myself. I asked this yesterday in the Peak Discord, because it, just like you, when I heard that Shadowpan was going to be playable again in Raid, my first thought was, well, can I target dummy manipulate this? I'm pretty sure, I'm like 99% sure you can't. I think when they did the Shadowpan changes previously, I think at the end of Season 1, or maybe at the start of Season 2 when they changed things around, they stopped this. So it's not a thing. I don't think you can manipulate flurry strikes like that. Because like previously what you would do is you would go to a target dummy, you would essentially get your stacks of flurry strike charges to 9, and then you'd expend flurry strikes on the target dummy, which means that the next set would always proc your flurry strikes at 1, because flurry strikes proc after your 10th flurry strike in the cycle. So you'd manipulate it so that when you're in the raid, because what you do is you do that, then you teleport to the raid and start hitting the boss, your flurry strikes will trigger on the first hit, which meant that you were actually getting the benefits of like buffs a lot more as well as shadow as well, right? Like you'd actually get a lot more benefit from this. I don't think it's a thing. So that kind of sucks, but I mean, it's healthier. It's healthier that way. Let's be real. It is healthier. Absolute despair, if you're forced to play Shadowpan to compete. No, I don't think it is. Like, Shadowpan's actually, like, the playstyle of it's actually quite fun. And, like, you probably haven't seen a lot of people actually playing on it or talking about it on the PCR or running it in their keys and stuff, and it's predominantly because it's been broken and also it's been so weak. But like, I've managed to get like quite a bit of like target dummy practice in it and stuff. There is a lot of like, I think it's the best way I can describe it, that I've tried to describe it, is that Shadowpan in Season 2 is really easy, right? Whereas Conduit is harder. But I think in Season 3, Shadowpan and Conduit are both at the same level of difficulty in terms of what you have to understand to play it. However, I think the jump from Shadowpan to what it was to the jump to Shadowpan to what it is going to be bigger than the jump from Conduit from what it was to the jump to Conduit what it is, if that kind of makes sense. So I think they're about the same difficulty-wise, but I think going from just playing Shadowpan, like Season 2, to learning how you have to like manipulate, well, not even manipulate, but you have to like, there's a lot of prep that goes into it, making sure that you're able to like track a bunch of weak cores and stuff to get the most out of it. Like there's a lot more that goes into it. Whereas the jump from Conduit's super fucking similar, right? Like Conduit is genuinely so similar to last season, especially with the nerfs to the hero talent. Like when it used to be 8 seconds for the Slicing Winds proc, it was actually a fair bit different in how you played it. But like, it's genuinely not. Like the main difference is that you're always casting Strike of the Windlord and Slicing Winds one after the other. But in theory, you're technically always only going to have a 6-second Heart of the Jade Serpent buff. How do I make sense of this? I think it'll be easier to make sense of this in like an actual, if I hit a target dummy, like what I mean by this. Because previously before the set nerf, you would Strike of the Windlord, then Slicing Winds. And the Slicing Winds, Heart of the Jade Serpent, would take precedent, right? So it would jump from like 6 seconds to 8 seconds, and there would be an 8-second timer. But now, because the Slicing Winds one's only 4 seconds, look, I'll show you here. It's really simple. You cast Strike of the Windlord, and then you Slicing Winds, and it hasn't increased the timer. So you're essentially, they have stacked, but you're essentially just playing on a 6-second window. So this is very similar to Season 2, right? It's not like you're going to have to play on like an 8-second window now. Obviously, damage is lost and stuff. I'm just talking about playstyle right now. But basically, every Heart of the Jade Serpent window is pretty much just going to be 6 seconds long as a result of this. Which is very similar to Season 2, right? You played in 6-second Heart of the Jade Serpent windows. Obviously, they stack and stuff, so that's a little bit different. But, like, the actual timing of this no longer, like, jumps to 8 seconds in your burst windows. It doesn't, like, change times as well. You can always just think of Heart of the Jade Serpent as 6 seconds with how you're going to play it. So, 6 seconds after I've cast Strike of the Windlord, my Heart of the Jade Serpent's gone. 6 seconds after I, proc Unity within, my Heart of the Jade Serpent, that's gone. Because this is how you play. You always play it with a Strike of the Windlord into Slicing Winds. Because you want these two to stack. So it's relatively simple, actually. Like, previously, there were lots of iterations of this, and the most awkward one was the one where you didn't have them stack, right? This was genuinely quite hard to play, because you had to, like, micromanage these two abilities, constantly track this Heart of the Jade Serpent, like, window as well, to make sure that you activate it at the moment this one's finished. It's really basic now, in a good way. Because previously you did it like this, right? I'd let this 6-second drop off, and I'd have to constantly be aware of this, and then the moment it dropped off, Slicing Winds. And then I'd like basically have to keep track of this, and then just repeat that cycle. Now, as long as you just follow the rules, Strike of the Windlord, Slicing Winds, and I know my Heart of the Jade Serpent 6 seconds long, 2 thumbs up, Conduit's mastered. GG. So I think that's okay. Obviously, it's a lot more, there's a lot more in-depth to it than that when you start thinking about like stacking and haste buffs and stuff like that. But the general core concept of Heart of the Jade Serpent is that rotation. I tried to split the Jade Serpent windows, and it feels better than just to do it together. That's fair, but a lot of sims have gone into this. Oh my god, I have so many tabs. I'm gonna go on this one. There's a whole bunch of sims that have gone into this that like look at this, and it's because of how they changed it. Previously, they didn't stack like this, like the haste buffs and stuff like that. They didn't stack like how they do now. They changed it in like, I want to say like 3 or 4 weeks ago. And this is just the play style. So like we have all these sims here, and you can always see Strike of the Windlord, Slicing Winds comes straight afterwards. Strike of the Windlord, Slicing Winds. Strike of the Windlord, Slicing Winds. Like it just comes out as this is how you get the most out of the Heart of the Jade Serpent windows and stuff like this. And it will do it for all iterations, right? At the end of the day, the computer knows best, right? Well, you'd hope. You'd hope so. Anyway, wait, that's Shadowpan. Hold up. Conduit's the way to go in Season 3? No. It's one of the ways to go. It is one of the ways to go. It's not like... So this is kind of a cool thing when you think about it. In Season 2, I always hyped up the fact that it was really cool that you could play Shadowpan and you could play Conduit in different situations. It means that both hero talents had a place in the game. You weren't just forced to go one. Because remember Season 1, where you were only able to go Shadowpan, and by the end of it, it got really stale. And it was like, oh my god, Shadowpan again and again and again. I have to play this one. What's even the point of having 2 hero talents? Well, that's exactly how it looked in Season 3 initially, where Shadowpan was so bad that the APL wasn't even being worked on for it because it was that far behind. And that's fair enough, right? If the theory crafters are aware that Shadowpan's so far behind, why work on it? Like, no one's going to play it in like if they want to be competitive with their damage. But we're at a state now where this is a good one for this one. So these are like most up-to-date like percentages on 0 sets and 4 sets and stuff like that. You can see 0 set pieces down bottom, and then what the final form is with 4 sets and stuff. You can see that there's only like it's like a 4% differential, 4.5%, which sounds like a fair bit actually, but it's genuinely not. Because this is like pure single target, right? And Shadowpan's actually stronger in like AoE situations. So this is pure single target. So I think for like bosses like Fractilis, for example, which is the best example of a single target boss, right? Perfect, pure single target. Conduit is probably going to be the way to go, right? Like, it's got the good burst profile. It will just be stronger and pure. But when you start looking like AoE sims that have been cooked up, this is Conduit, 8,062 million. Shadowpan, 8.3 million. So technically, Shadowpan looks like it has the highest ceiling for AoE, right? But once again, these numbers are relatively close, right? This is like about the same difference in damage that it was for Season 2 Mythic Plus, which allowed you to play both Conduit and Shadowpan at high key levels, you know, any sort of key levels. Obviously, the highest of the highest, you eventually go the best, right? But maybe a certain dungeon suits the burst profile of Conduit a bit more. Maybe a certain dungeon prefers how Shadowpan plays with Flurry Strikes and stuff like that. So this is really cool. I like this. So like this is what I mean when I'm trying to be optimistic about the nerfs. The nerfs suck because obviously you want to do the most damage you can possibly do ever, right? Like that's just we're gamers. We like doing high damage. We want our spec to be number one, and it was really high up, but it was the tier set was busted, right? Like when I go back to saying that the 4 set for Conduit was a 30% increase in damage, that's ludicrous. No 4 sets should be a 30% increase in damage. Like even now, right? When you think about it, 19% still a fucking 19% still a lot. Like think about our old tier set for season 2, it was like a 5.7. Think about our tier set for season 1, it was like a 1%. No, it wasn't quite 1%. I think it was like 2% or something. It's still quite a drastic increase, right? So it's not like these are bad numbers. So this is where it all comes back to like, where are we going to fit in? Because on paper, right, when you look at all of this, all damage increased by 13%, and then you're going to add an extra 19% when you get the full Conduit and single target. Well, that sounds like a lot of damage, right? So why aren't we very strong? I think it just comes down to like the raw final profiles and stuff. I just don't think our damage ramps up the way some other specs do it. It just doesn't work out that way, and that's the issue. But like that's why I go back to the argument of I actually think that we have a really good chance of being quite strong in early progression potentially, or like early heroic progression, stuff like that. Like because on paper, like that's when you're gonna have like limited. You're not really gonna have 4 sets and stuff like that, or you're gonna have early 4 sets or just 2 sets and stuff like that. And you're not going to have like your best in slot trinkets. You're not going to have your best in slot rings. Your Reshiwraps are going to be dog shit. You know, you're not going to have like best in slot everything going in. But on paper, we got good buffs. But I think we fall off. This is the issue. It's the falling off, which is the issue, right? Of course. Do. So how good is Windwalker? Please tell me, please. I want to prepare either brew if it's good or go ninja Windwalker class. It's a tough one, mate. Like, it depends. Are we talking raid or M plus? Because if we're talking M plus, that's an easier question to answer. We are not good. Right. Okay. No, that's an oversimplification. We are in the lower percentile at high M plus, if that makes sense. Like, put it this way: your plus 10s, your plus 12s, you'll be absolutely fine. Your plus 15s, you can do whatever you want, right? Like you can play any spec. You can play Survival Hunter if it was doing negative damage and still, get the keys. But a lot of things these days are always like looked at through the lens of, is it playable at the highest keystone level? What is my ceiling, right? Like how high is the ceiling? If I really want to push, right? If I really want to like get the titles and stuff like that. If I want a title in M plus, can I play Windwalker to get this title? If your name's Dabnell, sure, dude. Yeah, of course you can. If your name's not Dabnell, you're gonna have a really rough time. I think it's actually arguably probably worse off than it was in season 2, but it's really hard to judge initially on like initial sims and stuff, right? But like from just looking at like AoE damage and stuff, it's kind of mid, no? So it really depends what your goal is with M plus. If your goal is your weeklies and stuff, and like let's not be like elitist here. Majority of players in this game just do 10s, just do 12s. That's all they want to do, right? Not everyone pushes keys and stuff. We need to get like that in our heads. It's pretty important to understand, right? Like when like if I say plus 12 and then your thoughts are who the fuck's doing plus 12s? The majority of people that play this game do those keystones. So like if you're on that like level of playing, or you just want to do your weeklies and you love your alts and stuff, and you just want to do like you want to get your dinars if they're coming in and whatever, or you want to push a little bit, but you're not looking for title or anything like that, you're fine. Just play whatever you want. I wouldn't even say play. You don't even have to play Windwalker. You can play like you could play the worst simming AoE spec in the game, and you'd be absolutely fine. But ceiling wise, which is probably the way you want to look at it if you're pushing, we will not have a high ceiling compared to other specs, right? Some specs will just have a higher ceiling than us. So there will be a point where we get towards Keystone, and it's just so much harder for us to get damage out of it compared to like specs that can do it. So we're not going to be in the meta comp right now, right? Like let's get that out of our heads right now. We are not going to be the meta M plus comp. But like, when have we been? Like, it's been a while. And if you say Shadowlands, that was like 20 years ago, guys. Come on, like genuinely 20 years ago. We're old now. Just have a Void Demon Hunter for keys? Exactly, Void Demon Hunter. They're gonna be bussin'. That's like a 11.2.5 probably sort of thing that thing will come out. That'd be pretty cool. I'm probably gonna load DPS and M plus to help getting buffed soon in the new season. I'm doing my part. I'm doing my part. On a fight like Forge Weaver or Nexus King, do you think Shadowpan for Crackling Jade Lightning value or Conduit for damage amp phases would be better? That is a great question. So this comes in, like, that literally flows straight into my next thing. So we've talked about Mythic Plus, right? Mythic Plus, shit, dude. If you're looking for the title and the high ceiling, then no, Windwalker's probably not your play. You can probably still get, like, pretty high up, but there will be a point where it's just almost insanely difficult and you might as well just play a mage, right? But that's just how it is. That's M+, it always has been. I think Raid's gonna be different, you know? Like, in a weird way. Like, the last 2 weeks I've been saying, you will see a Windwalker on Fractalus and the Race to World first. I'm gonna redact that statement now, because I just don't think you will, unfortunately. But I think there's a lot of bosses where we have strength, and this is... Okay, we're gonna go on a big yap here. Let's talk about Conduit first, right? Right. First thing to note in the raid, yeah? A lot of single target bosses. We're talking Plexus Sentinel, single target. We're talking Lumathar, single target. We're talking Fractalus, single target. We're talking Nexus King. Pretty much single target, right? It has an ad phase, but that does not really matter. You're going to do the ad phase, fine. The entire premise of the fight is a single target boss fight. You're not going to switch to your AoE talents to take out some ads for like 20 seconds and then go back on single target. There's a lot of, compare it to other raids, right? Like previous raids. This is quite heavy in single target damage for a change, which I like. I like bosses being bosses. I don't like bosses being ad fights. Yes, Styx, I am looking at you, you fucking mess of a fight. We're going to summon 50 ads every wave, and you're going to have to deal with them. Good luck. No, I'm not a massive fan of ad fights. There aren't too many ad fights. We have like a couple in Araz, like Forge Master Araz is an AoE fight. And you also have... Oh, what's his fucking name? The Void Man that summons the guys out of the pods. I've forgotten his name off the top of my head, but he's also a pretty high ad fight. So, I think the single target, like we're talking like Lumathars, you Lumathar fights. I mean, obviously, Lumathar has the webs that you can deal damage to, so you could technically class it as AoE, but let's be real, if you're padding on the webs, brother, brother, come on. You need to be doing boss damage on that fight. The webs are gonna die. You don't, please don't play AoE to do some damage to some webs. Oh god. But like the single target fights, it's gonna be Conduit. Where's my max Conduit one? It's this one, isn't it? So like on paper, like our max damage potential for Conduit right now, 5.633. This is not massive, right? Like previously we were in the 6 million mark, so it is a big hit. Overall, I don't even think I mentioned this, but if we're going on PTR cycles from our true peak of PTR, we were about 6 milli. We've dropped down 7.2% roughly is the number that I'm pretty confident with. So holy shit, okay. Wow, why is that not popped up on my activity feed? Hold up, I need to say thank you real quickly. Oh, it's not popped up in my activity feed. Thank you for the 5 gifted sub for starters. Holy shit, that is insane. Really, really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Wow, Coronach. And also thank you for the 1 tier month sub. I really appreciate that as well. But the 5 gifted, Jesus Christ. Thank you. Thank you. Man listens to Windwalker yapping about despair. Gives 5 subs to make him feel better. No, honestly, thank you so much. That's really, really kind of you. You really didn't have to. But yeah, it didn't pop on my activity feed. Thank God that bot told me you did that. Otherwise, I would have missed that. The amount of times I've missed people like subbing or following or whatever is more than I can count. It's kind of embarrassing. Anyway, back to the topic at hand, what we were talking about. Yeah, so compared to like PTR top damage, we've dropped. And that's why, like when I go back to all damage increased by 13%, if you know from PTR, then you know this is technically a nerf. But if you haven't been following PTR, which a lot of players don't, which is fine. I mean, I used to never follow the PTR. I used to just look at patch notes, right? I used to like never go on the PTR. It wasn't until last season I went on the PTR, right? Or even cared about PTR stuff. This is like this is a nerf in the like under the context that we were stronger. But generally it's a buff. Like it actually is a buff on paper, right? Compared to like going into season 2, it is a buff, right? But in the grand scheme of things, it's a nerf. 5.63 million damage is not very high. Like, you still have some specs and single target doing over 6 million. Warlock, I'm looking at you. You disgusting mess of a spec right now. You need nerfing, but that's okay. That's okay. But you've also got to be aware that a lot of other high damaging specs have been nerfed. Like, Frost DK took a massive... Well, for starters, Frost DK's taken like 5,000 hits already this PTR. I think they were buffed by 20%, and they've been totally nerfed by like 18 or something like that over the cycle of the PTR. They have been gutted. As well as that, Hunter were pretty strong. Well, they've also been nerfed and stuff like that. So, like, a lot of the top damage-dealing specs have been, like, brought down a peg, except for Warlock, which doesn't make any sense, but sure. This still isn't, like, amazing, right? Like, peak damage still isn't, like, god tier, right? Like, it's good, but it's middle of the pack, I think. It's really hard to tell until we get the final sims and stuff. So, like, I can only really go off in my head of what I've, like, seen previously. And I haven't seen a lot. Like, I've seen like a bunch of stuff, but obviously everything changes. I'm not in every class Discord asking them, hey, what's my new target sim DPS? Yo, what do I do in single target this week? Hey, is Warrior good this week? Why have Havoc Havoc Demon Hunters not had any notes in their PT? You know what I mean? Like, I just focus on Windwalker. So that's like the way of looking at it. How does my single target feel in PTR? You don't want to... I don't know, man. Like, it actually feels awful. It feels rough. Like, I don't want to lie to you. But like every time I hit this single target dummy now, I'm just like looking at this number and I'm thinking, why is it so low? But you got to bear in mind, my character's only 607, right? So it's not like 632 or anything like that. So it's like not as strong as it could be. But I'm not going to lie to you. I like on paper, a single target's like mid-ish. But every time I hit this dummy, I feel like I'm doing fucking nothing. But that's like a really bad representation, right? 'Cause you don't have raid buffs, you know, stuff like that. But yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. I avoid hitting this dummy because I'm just like I just look at the numbers and I'm like, why am I doing like 3 million DPS right now? Didn't I do that in season 2? But when I hit the AoE dummies, I feel good about myself again, you know. But that's just a single target AoE thing, right? Like I wouldn't take that too into heart. Like, let me put it this way: in the race to world first, they take raid buff specs, yeah. Obviously, they take raid buff specs, and then once they're happy with their comp, or they take utility specs they need, like a Warlock for a portal, a DK for a grip. Grip is a raid buff. But you get my point. And then they fill it out with specs that are going to be really good for that sort of fight. And this is why I was 100% confident on Fractilis. I thought that our damage profile really fit that boss. 5-minute fight, Conduit, 1 minute 30 cooldowns. You pretty much get you get like 4 casts of Conduit. It sounds like it lined up really nicely, whereas 2-minute specs would kind of suffer a little bit. They'd lose a cast because of the 5-minute fight. But what if I told you we now play Conduit as a 2-minute spec? Thoughts? We like that? Are we fans of that? Do you guys like 2-minute Conduit? It's pretty fucked up, I'll tell you that. Let me show you what I mean. So, 2-minute Conduit is fucking insane. Right. It is absolutely... You are right, it is criminal, but it is the top simming DPS, so it is what it is. And this only holds true once you get the Araz trinket, the 2-minute agility trinket, because it is a good trinket, right? Similar to Shadowpan last season, where you had to have Signet of the Priory, basically, to drop Zuin's Bond. Well, now it's stronger to eventually drop Zuin's Bond and play 2-minute Conduit. Like, it just feels wrong. Right, sure, it might do the top damage, but it feels wrong. Sitting on your 1 minute 30 cooldowns never feels good. However, that doesn't mean you have to, right? Like, it's not like a set in stone you have to. Because here, this is a great example. Do I have it? Oh, tell me I have it. I tried to do this so well. No. Really? Why not? I fucking tried to prep this so well. Basically, the damage difference between doing the 2 minutes and doing the 1 minute 30 is actually they're relatively close to each other. So even though like the 2 minute one is ahead, because obviously you have your best builds, right? You have your best builds, and then you have like your second best build that you could go, or situational build based on what trinkets you have. It's actually not that far behind, and that's where you do run Zuin's Bond, right, and play 1 minute 30, the standard conduit build. So what does this mean? I'm trying to look at this in a positive way, right? In my mind, this means you can play conduit as a 2 minute spec, or you could play it as a 1 minute 30 spec, right? Let's look at the negatives here. That's kind of cool in a way that if a fight suits 1 minute 30, you can do that. If a fight suits 2 minutes, you can do that. Like, that's kind of a cool way of looking at it in the sense of right. First off, in the raid, there are tons and tons of bosses with damage amps. And this is where Conduit thrives on damage amps, right? Really good burst profile. So you get your damage amp bosses. What do we have? We have, I mean, technically Lumathar takes more damage in P2, but that's like the entirety of P2. So I don't know if we'll call that a damage amp, but it's kind of like I don't know if we'll really call it a damage amp. I'm thinking more bosses like Forge Master Araz has 2 massive damage amps where you want to pump him with damage during P1. Nexus King has damage amp where he's on the dragon, and that's a really important damage amp where you want to pump that down. Pretty vital damage amp there as well. And I'm pretty sure that Dementius also has a damage amp where you want to nuke him down as well. Well, this gives us the flexibility of going 1 minute 30 or 2 minute with Conduit, which is kind of cool in a way where, let's say you play 1 minute 30, but the damage amp doesn't really line up for 1 minute 30, so you're actually having to hold your 1 minute 30s for up to 30 seconds, and that kind of feels bad, because then you're technically playing the 1 minute 30 spec, but you're holding your cooldowns, essentially. Well, what if the 2 minute conduit actually lines up really nicely for this? So actually, you don't lose too much downtime on your things because you're playing it for 2 minutes, right? So does that kind of make sense? Like, you have, like, you have the option, like, and the damage isn't crazy different, right? And if the build suits the damage amp, then that build will be better for it, right? Like, even, like, with numbers and stuff like that. So that's, like, a good way of looking at it. Like, I've tried to look at it from a different perspective of, okay, so Conduit can go 1 minute 30 or 2 minutes, depending on the fight, if it suits, which one it suits, and where the damage amps line up, right? So that's kind of an interesting way of looking at it. Magar 2 minutes and Void Elf hybrid. Yeah, so Magar 2... I think right now Void Elf is actually the hero, the race that is in all these sims and stuff. Obviously, races are like really minimum damage increase, but I think on paper Void Elf has finally come back to the top again. Goated race, by the way, in case you were wondering. Goated race. Best race. And it kind of, in a weird way, it's actually, in a weird way, going back to like the 2 minute conduit thing, it's kind of cool. So another thing to mention, right? If we strike the Windlord, then slicing wins, right? And then we look at this timer over here, it's going to go to 20 seconds. Every time so previously it was 16.5 seconds. Now every 20 seconds you're going to have this combo up. So if you're playing 1 minute 30s, you do have to hold these for 10 seconds, which feels kind of awful. Also, my timer stopped, right? Because I'm apparently not in combat. You just got to trust me on this one. It is 20 seconds. I've run the test. I've run the numbers, guys. I've run the numbers. So at like 1 minute 30s, that does kind of feel a little bit awkward because you are holding these two for 10 seconds. Didn't feel so bad in Season 2 when you held Strike of the Windlord for 25 seconds, but that's because you didn't have this cool combo of Hasted Overload. If you play 2 minutes, and you're able to send these out every, like, 20 seconds, which you should be doing, like, you want to keep keeping up time, it will line up perfectly with 2 minutes. So there's a positive of that as well, right? Looking at it that way. Bab says it lines up for 2 minutes. Yeah, exactly. It lines up for 2 minutes. That's kind of cool that it does do that. But obviously, there are going to be bosses where that does get a bit tricky. Plexus Sentinel is the perfect example, right? You're trying to line up, let's say you're playing 2 minutes, or you're playing 1 minute 30, whatever, and you're trying to line these up. Well, you have to run through a maze, right? So you'll have to actually potentially use some of your brain cells to work out if it's actually worth sending it prior or holding it and stuff like that. But for, like, Fractalis, great example, right? You're going to line up perfectly if you're playing 2 minutes on Fractalis. 1 minute 30, you do have to hold it every time. And that sucks a little bit, but it's not too bad at the end of the world. It was actually a bit weirder with the 16.5 seconds in a way, because when it was 16.5 seconds, you had to make the decision on if it was worth sending. and then delaying your cooldowns or holding for an extended period of time and like sending your and then sending on 130. Obviously it did more damage, but like from that playstyle thing, like you had to make that decision. And sometimes it was quite easy to mess up that decision. So at least like it's a set, like 20, it's a nice round number, you know, even number. We guys, I'm trying to look for the positives here. Can you tell? I'm trying to look at all the positives here. I'm trying to spin this. We're spinning it in a way where Windwalker looks really good. Kind of. We're trying. Can I do a quick rotation with the new set fixes? I can't for Shadow Pan. Unfortunately, I can't really for Shadow Pan, which is annoying because that's the important one that I'd love to be able to show you because actually the preparation really matters. But for Conduit, yeah, I can. Single target them. Yeah, we can do a cheeky one. We'll do so there are multiple variations, right, to this. So there's single target Raz that we went over. That's where you drop Zuin's Bond. And we'll go for this one because on paper it's the best one, right? And you can see we're doing Zuin's battle gear. What I'm really struggling with at the moment, and it's just because I haven't had a lot of practice on it, is I'm so used to the 8-second slicing winds window that I'm always slightly missing my second Fist of Fury in that 6-second period of time that I have. Like, always by like a microsecond, I'll send out a Fist of Fury, and they'll be like, and it will just tick over, and then I get the full, like, 3-second duration of Fist of Fury, and it feels so slow. I think on live servers it will feel better when my ping's lowered, and it's definitely possible, because I've done it a few times, but I've also messed it up, like, I'll be honest, like, I'm so used to, like, having such a long Heart of the Jade Serpent that, like, it's so much leeway. The 6 seconds is actually, which is live servers, right? Live servers are 6 seconds. Okay, let's check the talents and stuff. Talents build, yeah, stuff like that. We get rid of Bartender for this? Yeah, kind of, because you probably want to see the actual things, don't you? And we'll switch to this screen. This screen makes sense, you can actually see it in full screen. 5.6 million single target sim before or after 13%. These are the final sims. Well, I say final sims in quotation, unless like Polar finds, who's a theory crafter for Windwalker, like finds other things that are slightly better or slightly worse. These are like the final numbers right now of how we are at max item level. So this is after the 13%, right? To answer your question. I really don't care about Shadow Pan, but thanks though. Well, you're gonna have to start caring a little bit about Shadow Pan. I mean, you don't have to, but I will go over Shadow Pan a bit more, like the theory of it and stuff like that. All right, so this is Conduit. Oh my god, so much pressure now. I need to get this right. It's right. I'll explain it a little bit first. It's gonna feel exactly the same, or pretty much exactly the same as season 2, and that's because it pretty much is. The main difference now is obviously Strike of the Windlord, Slicing Winds, where previously what you could do is you would go Strike of the Windlord, Fist of Fury, and then you'd go Slicing Winds, right? That was kind of how it went. Sometimes you went Slicing Winds first, Fist of Fury. It was such a minute difference that it didn't really matter. Now it does matter. You have to pair these two together. It's non-negotiable. Yeah. All right. Ooh. The pressure's on. Can he do the single target? Shit, I don't know. Hopefully. And then we get the Heart of the Jade Serpent. I'll try to get Double Fist of Fury. I managed to get it there because I had Zuin's Bond proc, so that's really good. Rising Sun kicks up, so I want to send that out as soon as possible. Anytime Fist of Fury is off cooldown, essentially, I want to send out Rising Sun kick, right? Because that Fist of Fury is where a lot of my damage is coming from. And then we Rising Sun kick once. Storm Earth and Fire. We didn't quite get the proc. So this is kind of like how the open is going to play out, more or less. And then the rotation's pretty similar, but you can see Strike the Windlords up, instantly press it. And I'm under the assumption, right, this is how I'm going to phrase it in my guide, is that whenever Fist of Fury is, like, available to press, even if, like, Strike the Windlord and stuff is, like, a couple of seconds off of cooldown, you send it, right? Like, it'll make... I'm trying to get the, like, perfect example for this. But, like, even if, like, your Fist of Fury is on a 19-second cooldown, because you just sent it out, it will come back off of cooldown, because of the 2 haste buffs on top of each other. It will 100% come back off of cooldown. So, like, it makes no sense now to be holding things like Fist of Fury. Like, previously you would hold Fist of Fury for, like, a second or two. No real point doing that now. because it will come back up. You will be able to at least get one Fist of Fury up. Because you can see even there, right? I sent it out at the start. It pretty much came off of cooldown. I just slightly missed it. So it will always come up. If you're able to get like procs on Zuin's battle gear as well, 100% it will come up. And now you can see, what's that? Oh look, Conduit's off of cooldown. But what are we playing? We're playing the 2-minute build. So I'm just gonna sit here and hold it. Oh, it feels illegal to be doing this. And as well as this, you can see that I'm barely pressing Blackout Kick, even though it's on 4 stacks a lot of the time. Unless like I pretty much have to, I rarely send it out, and that's because it is still pretty much the botless build. The botless build is still a thing. That doesn't mean you don't press bot. There, you see, I just slightly missed it, and in that case, I should have sent out Conduit first. But you can see like how tight it was. So that was technically a big damage loss because I sent out a Fist of Fury that essentially was full channel time, which in essence delayed my Conduit by longer than I wanted it to. So it is a little bit tighter than previous, so you will have to make those judgment calls of, can I get it out? Or do I need to send Conduit first to keep up the uptime of Heart of the Jade Serpent and not delay my like damage and Gale Force? So that's kind of like a 2 minutes 44. Just how it plays. It feels very similar to Season 2. If like we look at the damage breakdown and stuff, and this is what I mean by single target, 3.74 million. It just feels low. I don't know if I'm just like cooked in the head, but like that doesn't feel like a high number. But I think that's just me being cooked in the head. When I answered your question about how does it feel in single target, because you've also got to take into account I was hitting the trading dummy to the left as well. It's really hard not to, so you've got to take 14% of my damage off as well. Fuck. You can see like it's still pretty much the same with flying Fist of Fury, slicing winds at top damage, spinning crane kick. It's not as high anymore, but it's still up there. But rising sun kick's gained a lot of power, right? A lot of power in rising sun kick. And then you can see blackout kick. In 2 minutes and 44 seconds, I only pressed it 8 times. And honestly, you can get it less than that. You don't even have to press it 8 times. I probably pressed it a bit too much, to be honest. But it does no damage. Like, it's kind of like that. So that's like the idea of Conduit single target. And then for AoE, it is literally the same thing, more or less. Like genuinely pretty much the exact same thing. I can do an AoE thing in a sec as well. Let me just read some of this chat, because I feel like I'm ignoring you. Has the buff already in? Yeah, like, in theory, yes. All the changes have been made. The 13% damage buff has been added to us. Our tier sets have all been changed. They've all been hotfixed. So yeah. Everything is working intentionally in terms of how like damage we do. So this is my damage. Like, if I was in the exact same gear setup on live, I should do the exact same in theory. Maybe a bit more because of ping, but not that much more. Except for Shadowpan. Shadowpan's balked right now. Still doesn't work. Kind of cool, right? As Arcane, I can maintain at least 5.8 on dummies. Shit. What's your item level? Tell me it's not 706. Tell me you've crafted some pieces, please. Make me feel better. Make me feel better. So this isn't max. Yeah, this isn't max target dummy because I'm only 706. Like, I haven't gone to the lengths of like fully investing in damage and stuff like that. So like AoE once again, the open is going to be literally the same. The big difference is that I'm pretty much never blackout kicking. Like, I'll blackout kick here and there, but obviously because it's AoE, even like a baseline spinning crane kick is better than blackout kick. And that was like when blackout kick had all the blackout kick talents, right? Now it doesn't. Variation 1 or variation 2? What do we want to see? I don't like variation 2, actually. Variation 2 takes shadowboxing treads, and I'm a bit question mark about that. Like, I trust the Sims. Sims make sense. But it feels weird to take a talent that increases the damage of blackout kick when I don't want to be pressing blackout kick. So I'm not a massive fan of this one. But these two variations are pretty much within like 1% of each other from looking at it. So this is AoE. You do play 130 in AoE, which is kind of cool. At least that, right? So there are a couple of builds you can go. I don't actually have the right trinket for it. Like, the best trinkets are this one. So Nether Prism is really good now in AoE, for Conduit anyway. And you want Astral Antenna. Astral Antenna is basically a crit trinket, right? It's the one that like summons this little orb, and you got to pick it up, I think, and then it gives you crit, and that's pretty nice, right? I don't have this. I'll go grab it eventually if I go do some dungeons. But I actually want to show you the double active. I don't know if this will see play, but this was like one of the initial best in slot AoE builds, right? You'd run 2 active trinkets, so that every 1 minute 30 you could essentially get your cooldowns off. Because a Raz is 2 minutes, right? But you want to run 1 minute 30 in dungeons. I don't know how competitive this will be. I don't think it's as competitive anymore because some other trinkets have been buffed and how we play now, conduit strengths and stuff like that. But I thought this was so fun because you essentially always got a massive agility buff every time you popped your cooldowns. It was really cool. So I'm gonna show you it because I want to because I just want to show you it because it's a really good one, and also unyielding nether prism does good damage, like passive damage. It does decent stuff. Yeah, I'm not sure why I'm not getting notifications. Hold on, let me have a look. I don't know if I missed anything. Yeah, thank you for follows, Captive and Dimitri. Appreciate it. Is that the false spy master? Yeah, it's the melee spy master essentially. So the idea of how this was going to play out is that you would pop Haraz's Ritual Forge on your first set of cooldowns in AoE, and then on your second set of cooldowns, you'd send out Nether Prism, and then third set Haraz, fourth set Nether Prism, kind of like that. So that allows you to build up the stacks of Nether Prism. So this was a cool variation. I still think this might see play. It depends how important it is for us to have huge burst windows in AoE. I think that's going to be the make or break. But then at the same time, like just having passive crit is always good anyway, right? Oh yeah, that's what I'm not a massive fan of. Yeah, so this build also takes Zuin's Basel gear in AoE, which means you do have to Rising Sun Kick in AoE. It is a little bit cringe. For a long while, this was dropped for AoE because trying to fit a Rising Sun Kick as well inside of AoE is just really not great. It's really good for Fist of Fury because it reduces the cooldown, but Rising Sun Kick just does no damage, right? So it felt awful to play in AoE. The other variation doesn't run it, but I hate that it runs Shadowboxing Treads. I absolutely hate that it runs Shadowboxing Treads. Shadowpan isn't viable as long as the 2-piece is bugged. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But they will not have it bugged on live. I couldn't see them doing that. That would just be too much, right? Like I think I read what Sia said earlier, and Sia has a good thought is that it probably does work. They just haven't pushed it to the PTR. Like, I mean, maybe a bit of cope, but it's fine. Let's cope. We're Windwalkers, by the way. But yes, if it is bugged going into live, yeah, of course you wouldn't play it. It loses too much damage. The entire fact that you're trying to build up these 20 stacks and that you're not able to is just impossible. You just wouldn't run it, but it will be fine. I promise. Actually, no, I don't promise. I'm not Blizzard. All right, so AoE opener is going to look exactly the same, right? Where it's just a single Tiger Palm straight into cooldowns. So if you played Conduit in Season 2, your opener is pretty much the exact same. There's just a little bit of a difference in the priority where Rising Sun Kick's going to be at higher prio whenever Fist of Fury's off a cooldown, right? Because it's not just a Whirling Dragon Punch activator, it's a Fist of Fury reducer as well. Obviously, Strike of the Windlord, Slicing Winds have moved up the priority because you want to always be sending these out as soon as possible. So let's give this one a go. Yeah, pretty straightforward stuff. Oh, hit that dummy over there. I want to try and not hit this dummy so it's just 4 targets, but we'll see how well I can do that with. So you can see straight away that we're building up Nether Prism stacks. We got the prop, but I don't think I probably could have got it, but I didn't trust myself. But I should have sent out a Fist of Fury there. Oh, and that kind of puts me at the thing. So what you'll notice is a lot of the time now, it's going to sound weird, but you're actually holding 2 stacks a lot more than you used to. Outside of like big cooldowns and stuff, you do send your 2 stacks. But you might notice that I'm like, remember how the rule in Season 2 was once you're at 2 stacks, you have to send. Like, illegal not to send. Now, if you have like things like Fist of Fury and stuff like that up during a heart window, you have to prio those. So sometimes you will just be sad at 2 stacks, and that's just nasty how it will be. It's like 11 million at the moment. It's not great. Like, when I tell you like last reset, or not even last reset, the last time I was on the PTR before the nerfs came in, I was like hitting 20 million and staying up there. Oh my god, it was crazy. But it's, yeah, it's not as bad as it has been. I've seen it worse, but it's not great either. So this is a great example of when you can use Blackout Kick. You can use it like as a filler, essentially. Oh. So right there, I probably should have saved those two. You'll see why. My cooldowns are now coming up. And because I sent it with less than 20 seconds, these now are no longer coming up at the same time. So, in theory, I should have sent it. But actually, because I'm running Nether Prism, I'm not actually that bothered about it. Anyway, full send now. Hopefully we get some damage out. I swear to God, my my Zoon's battle gear is not proccing when I want it to. Oh, I'm just looking at the damage numbers. It's just a little sad, because I know what they were before. And, like, I did my second big burst window, and it just dropped even further. So, like, yeah. And I really hate casting Rising Sun Kick in AoE. I think that it just feels bad. But the issue is now, because you don't have so much haste, because you now don't have, like, such a good Heart of the Jade Serpent window, like, it's not as much haste, and it's not as long, which helped with, like, reducing the cooldown of Fist of Fury. You now kind of need Zoon's Battle Gear as that additional helper to reduce the cooldown of Fist of Fury, right? In this build, particularly. Because before, Heart of the Jade Serpent did all the work. Like, it carried the load, so you didn't have to take this. Like, the 8 seconds on Slicing Winds was just enough to help, like, basically reduce it enough. But, yeah, it is what it is. So, yeah, I mean, Slicing Winds is high damage, but in an actual dungeon, this will fall off a little bit. Fist of Fury, Spinning Crane Kick, still quite high up there. Stuff like that. But, I mean, this is essentially where all the damage is coming from. It's, like, these abilities. And Gale Force as well. Like, Gale Force hasn't taken a massive hit, actually. I thought it would take a bit of a bigger hit, because you're not sending out Strike of the Windlord as much, but it's still not too bad. I guess in the grand scheme of things, because you're doing less damage from other things as well, Gale Force probably does about the same damage. Like, it'll do less damage in overall, but compared to the other things, it's still fine. Unyielding Nether Prism, I think, is not too bad either. It does like 2 to 3% of your damage as well, just passively. But I just don't know if you're going to be running these two actives anymore. Like, this was a genuine, like, best build for M+, prior to the changes, but I feel like it's going to be active and passive now. Where you'd run Nether Prism, because you're playing 1 minute 30, and then you drop a Raz for, like, a... You drop a Raz for basically a stat stick, the crit one we talked about. So, Windwalker will be Mesa next season? No. No, it definitely won't be Mesa. Definitely not Mesa. But even before the nerfs, it wasn't Mesa, right? Like, in M+, it was never Mesa. In Raid, I think it was good in single target. Like, its strength was its single target profile. That's, like, what was driving us, predominantly, was that we were pretty damn good at single target. That's where things were like, oh, shit, okay. But that's taken a little bit of a hit as well. So now, I think we're, like, mid and Raid, low end and M+. Like, if we're being, like, realistic about things. But it doesn't mean I don't think, like, I don't know. The thing is right. Where do I want to go from here? I don't even know. What am I looking for on these tabs? This is what I'm looking for. We haven't really talked about Shadowpan for the raid, right? Or AoE, and that's because it's really hard to, like, play. But the reason Shadowpan, I think, is going to see a fair bit of play on a lot of these bosses in the raid that are, like, have ad sets and stuff like that, is that there's a big difference between AoE damage that you do in an M+ dungeon and AoE damage that you do in a raid, if that makes sense. Like, anyone that played in Season 2, right? Crackling Jade Lightning was an absolute beast. Like, it was almost unparalleled. Like, sometimes, like, Rick Reverb, great example. Your highest damage came from Crackling Jade Lightning, which was a button you pressed, like, 4 or 5 times. It went absolutely sicko mode. Whereas in an M+ dungeon, Crackling Jade Lightning is actually on the lower end of the damage. Like, you know, it gets beaten by a lot of other things. Raid fights are very different to M+ when it comes to AoE, and it's all about, like, how many ad sets there are, how long the fight is, and what build profile you're going. And I think, like, on boss fights where you can properly go Crackling Jade Lightning, so, like, Soulbinder, right? Yeah, that's his name, Soulbinder, where he summons little ad sets, and then at 2 minutes he pops everything. And about 4 minutes he pops everything as well. Well, actually, that goes crazy for things like Shadow Pan, where you can pop your cooldowns, you can get your Shadow Flurry Strikes, absolutely start going ham, and then you can Crackling Jade Lightning as well. It's going to feel very similar. Like, that's like the strength, I think, is like a lot of raiding is how does your spec fit the actual fight? It's not always, are you the highest simming damage in single target? Are you the highest simming damage in AoE? It's, does your kit complement the boss fight, in a way, if that kind of makes sense. Unless it's Fractilus, which, yes, is just a single target boss fight, right? But then Plexus Sentinel is the other way, right? You might sim really well for single target on single target sims, but because Plexus Sentinel has such really awkward downtime, and maybe your mobility is absolutely dog water, you're going to struggle to get to him, and you basically lose out a lot of damage. So like range specs, for instance, high range specs for single target probably going to be really happy about that fight because they can start hitting the boss again quite quickly. Whereas melee are going to have to do this crazy-ass maze every time. And obviously there'll be ways to skip through the maze and make it easier and faster and stuff like that, but you kind of get my point that I'm going for. Like, a lot of this depends on the boss fights, and I think a lot of boss fights suit us. And it comes back to the 1 minute 30, 2 minute conduit, right? Like, if a predominantly single target boss suits 2 minutes, you don't really want to go Shadow Pan for single target. You always really want to go, like, conduit if you want, like, single target damage. But it's going to really suit it if, like, you need to go the 2 minute conduit. Fine, it still does good damage, you're not trolling. But maybe the 1 minute 30 is actually better for the amp windows and stuff. Well, then you can go 1 minute 30, you know? Let's say it's an AoE fight, for instance, and it suits 1 minute 30 cooldowns. Well, then Shadow Pan actually is a little bit rough for that, because you don't really want to go 1 minute 30 Shadow Pan. But you can then go 1 minute 30 conduit, and its AoE's not, like, too far off either. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, a lot of it comes down to how does the fight actually work? Is this spec going to functionally be good for this? Like, numbers can only take you so far, and it sounds like cope. And honestly, yes, it's a little bit of cope, but but at the same time, it's not, right? Like, it is genuine, like, cope. Like, we're not top of the Sims, but trust me, these fights are going to be good for us because of this. But, like, it is important to take that into account. Like, let's say you're, like, some specs are really, really good on their damage, but they cannot line up with this damage amp. Like, they cannot line up, or they have to drop an entire set of cooldowns to line up with this damage amp where we don't. Then technically we get some gain from that, if that kind of makes sense. So I don't think it's all doom and gloom. Like, it's an interesting one. We're gonna crush mid tier. I think actually, like I said at the start, I think we're gonna be really strong at the start. But then I could see us, like, starting to drop, right? But I don't think we're going to be overpowered at the start. Let's not get it twisted, right? We're not going to be, like, Giga at the start. I think we'll be good at the start because of the 13% damage buff, right, compared to where we are. But once you start getting tier sets, but even then, our tier set's good, right? And this is what I mean, like, 19% on Conduit, that's not a bad number, right? But I think it's like, once you start adding all the other little bits to it and stuff, we just will fall off a bit. It's a crazy take, but I genuinely think we might start off really well and then exponentially start dropping. But, like, really well doesn't mean, like, top. Really well just means, like, maybe high mid. And I still think we're probably one of the better melees. And you do have to take melees to raid. You do have to take melees to raid. I mean, your raider probably wishes you didn't have to, but you do have to take them to raid, unfortunately. Shadow Pan will be fire. We're so tired of Conduit FOMO and Bus and Bloat. Yeah, I mean, even then with Conduit, right? Well, yeah, for starters, yeah, Shadow Pan is going to be fire in certain situations. It's not going to be a single, like, it's not going to be a single hero talent tier. You are going to run different hero talents on different bosses. 100%. Like, it's not going to be 8 Conduit bosses. It will probably be, like, something like, it won't, I don't think it'll be 4 and 4, but you'll definitely get variation. Even if it's just like a 6 and 2 or a 7 and 1, there will still be some fights that are just better for the other hero talent. And that's cool. In terms of Bus and Bloat, you can actually... Conduit actually... you can play, like, Conduit single target. You can play this build with no Raz, where you don't run Whirling Dragon Punch anymore. So if, like, Conduit was a little bit worrying and stuff with Button Bloat and stuff like that, well, let me give you this. You basically never press Blackout Kick anymore. That's one button gone. And you basically don't have Whirling Dragon Punch. Another button gone. And you're basically rarely ever going to proc down to the 2G Spinning Crane Kick because you drop Revolving Whirl as well. So, Spinning Crane Kick half gone. So Conduit actually doesn't have that many buttons. Like, its main rotation focuses around Tiger Palm, Fists, Rising Sun Kick, Strike, Slicing, and Conduit, and obviously your cooldowns and stuff. And, like, Shadow Pan's about the same, right? Shadow Pan's going to revolve around Tiger Palm, Rising Sun Kick, Fist of Fury, Blackout Kick. Shadowpan does revolve around Blackout Kick. Half Spinning Crane Kick, I suppose. It doesn't have Strike of the Windlord or Slicing Winds or Conduit, but it does have Crackling Jade Lightning. So yeah, I suppose that they're about within like 1 or 2 buttons of each other. So it's not like as drastic as it has been, where like you would run this, right? But then you could also run Crackling Jade Lightning on top of Conduit. So you would actually have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 buttons that you would press on Conduit. So if button bloat is like something you're not a massive fan of, Conduit's lost some buttons, less bloat, and Shadowpan also isn't too bloated either. So, but then you can still run variations where you do have those buttons, right? So it's not like if you do like the pressing Whirling Dragon Punch and you like having a lot of spinning crane kicks, you can still run that in single target. So it comes back to another thing that I really like: diversity for your spec, right? Season 1, 1 hero talent, 1 single target build, 1 AoE build, have fun. Season 2, both hero talents, not so much for raid, but loads of different builds, right? You know, Conduit could run Crackling Jade Lightning, Conduit could run Slicing Winds, Conduit could run down the middle, Conduit could drop down the middle and run Crackling and Slicing Winds, it could drop Slicing Winds and go down the middle and run Crackling Jade Lightning, it could drop Crackling Jade Lightning, run down the middle with Slicing Winds. Breathe. Shadowpan as well. Shadowpan, you could go Crackling Jade Lightning, you could go Crackling Jade Lightning down the middle, Crackling Jade Lightning, you could go down the right side as well. So there were like tons of build diversities, and I thought that was really cool. And like, trying to once again spin a positive from these nerfs to Conduit. Well, look at this. It's a thing again, right? To a degree. In single target Conduit, it's not as much, but you can play, you know, Whirling Dragon Punch Revolving Whirl and not be trolling. You can drop it and instead, you know, you can drop it and instead run like Transfer the Power. It's not gonna like change too much, but there are still options, right? For AoE, you can run, you know, you can run Jade Ignition, stuff like that. You can run Zuin's Bond. Wait, where am I going with this? No, sorry, Zuin's Battle Gear. I don't know where I was going with that. You can run Zuin's Battle Gear, or you can not run Zuin's Battle Gear. It depends how you want to play it. Do you want to play with a bit more Rising Sun kicks, or do you not want to play with Rising Sun kicks? Well, that option's up to you, and you're not trolling on the damage meters. You know what I mean? I don't have too many Shadowpan builds here, actually. I only have 1 or 2, because the APL wasn't quite completed just yet. But this is like how the AoE for Shadowpan's going to look, if you're interested, because I haven't really shown this. So AoE for Shadowpan more or less will look like this. Crackling Jade Lightning, you have to take this even in single target. It's obviously too strong not to. And you do run Whirling Dragon Punch, for instance. I think there might be another build, but I didn't come that prepared, unfortunately. I tried to like get as much as possible before the stream, but I couldn't get everything. And then you run Spiritual Focus. Big take here. Big take. I'm a massive fan of this button. I played it a lot in Season 2. And I think it's going to come in big clutch, because I think one of the most important things you're going to have to do with Shadowpan AoE is making sure you perfectly get good Storm, Earth, and Fire windows, right? How do I explain this? It kind of comes around Crackling Jade Lightning. Crackling Jade Lightning is a good ability, and it does a lot of damage, but you want to amp this ability. Well, how do you amp this ability? Well, in Season 2, you amped it by pressing Storm, Earth, and Fire, outside of major cooldowns, and what did that do? That gave it like 20% more damage because of, you know, your little clone boys. Pretty good, right? But now you want to amp this even further. You want to always try and get Crackling Jade Lightning out with 20 stacks of against all odds. That's an extra 20% agility buff on top. So like trying to make sure that you get these Storm, Earth, and Fires out, and then getting your 20 stacks, and then sending out a Crackling Jade Lightning outside of cooldowns. I think that's kind of how it's going to play. I'd be extremely surprised if that's not how it's played. So that's kind of cool as well. Like, there are some intricacies. But outside of that, Shadowpan plays... If you're not in cooldowns, I think Shadowpan plays, like, almost identical. And it's similar to Conduit. I think Conduit pretty much plays... kind of plays identical as well. Just minus some buttons. Did you look into the no-bok build? I did, yeah. No-bok is still a thing. It's still going to be a thing for Conduit. But I think no-bok is a... So I've called it no-bok, right? I call it like bokless cock. It's not quite bokless, right? Like, it is... You have no talents that buff bok, but it's still a button. Don't take it off your action bars, please. Whatever you do, you need to keep it on your action bars. It still does have a place, but the idea is that you barely press it. But yes, that is the main build for Conduit, going into AoE and single target, are these bokless sort of builds. except for this one weird AoE variation where you take Shadow Boxing Treads, but yeah, don't worry about that too much. How about the 2-minute build for Shadow Pan from Season 2? Still possible or too weak now? So Shadow Pan's always going to play 2 minutes, but you can't go the Strike of the Windlord build, I imagine is what you're talking about. So you will play it 2 minutes, but you just... The Sims basically, it's just not strong enough to go Strike of the Windlord and Slicing Winds for this. You need more power into your box and stuff. So this is like where all the power comes from. It's like a balance of like... Because Shadowpan, obviously, you wanted to get a lot of Tiger Palms out in Season 2, but now you want to get a lot of Tiger Palms out in Season 2. So how are you doing that? Well, to do that, like, you're going to have to get, like, let's say you're out of Fist of Fury and you're out of Rising Sun Kick. A lot of the time, it's going to be Tiger Palm, Blackout Kick, Tiger Palm, Blackout Kick, whilst you're waiting for cooldowns, right? Like, that will happen quite a few times. Well, if you're pressing Blackout Kick a lot of the time, you want to give Blackout Kick some damage, right? Otherwise, it's like... So to give Blackout Kick power, a lot of the talents then have to be taken from this right-hand side, if that kind of makes sense. So it's like that trade-off of basically what buttons you're going to be pressing the most to Shadow Pan. Predominantly, it's going to be Tiger Palm and Blackout Kick are going to be your highest press buttons, right? Because filler, but also allowing yourself to Tiger Palm back-to-back, essentially, outside of the big cooldowns. So which buttons do you want to give power to? Well, Tiger Palm and Blackout Kick. So you can see you're taking Martial Mixture, right? Increases Tiger Palm damage when you Blackout Kick. You're taking both Touch of the Tiger and Hardened Souls, right? Kind of crazy, no? But, increase Tiger Palm damage. Why? Well, just because you're Tiger Palming a lot more. Hardened Souls. Why? Well, because you're just Blackout Kicking a lot more. So that's kind of the idea. But yes, the old 2-minute build with Strike of the Windlord is just not... It's not it. Shadowpan single target. I'm not confident on that build, actually, so I'm not going to show it to you. I'm pretty sure that was from an old iteration. It might still hold true, but I don't want to explain it because I don't think it's correct. But you ran Memories of the Monastery. That's the TLDR of it. I'm not confident that is the new APL with the changes and stuff, so I'm not really going to show you that. In fact, I could probably... Where is it? This should be it, right? No, okay, yeah, so this is the Shadowpan single target. Yeah, so it's not the one I have. It's slightly different. You can see, yeah, you still got a lot of power into Bok, right? So dropping like Shadowboxing Treads, getting Brawler's Intensity. So that's where a lot of the power comes in. And then it's always good to like see damage breakdowns like this, right? So you can get an understanding of where you think your damage is going to come from. Obviously, it's not set in stone. These are all APLs. But you can see this is a single target, right? Flurry Strike still does a lot of damage. It's pretty powerful. Shadow Flurry Strike's not as powerful as it is an AoE, where it will absolutely like do insane amount of damage. Like, hold on, let me show the comparison here. Like, look at the difference, right? You can see the purple, and you can see that highlighting it does not help you at all. You can see the difference, right? Then you go single target, and they're quite a bit closer in their difference. So Shadow Flurry Strikes really carry Flurry Strikes' damage in AoE situations, but in single target, they're relatively closer. Because obviously, Shadow Flurry Strikes does uncapped AoE, so it's good. And then Fist of Fury, Rising Sun Kick, it's got power again, Blackout Kick, Spinning Crane Kick a lot lower, and then Crackling Jade Lightning, as we said, in single target, it's not a very good ability. But then in AoE, it's also not a very good ability. As we touched over, because an M plus is such a long thing, like 30-minute dungeon, you don't actually get that many Crackling Jade Lightning applications out. So there are stronger abilities overall in the total grand scheme of things. But an 8-minute raid boss isn't very long. What's that? It summons ads every so often. Well, suddenly this gains a huge amount of value and starts going to the top. So yeah, it'll like everything like kind of comes full circle. You're gonna play Shadowpan. You're gonna play Conduit in the raid. You're probably gonna play Shadowpan and Conduit in M+. I'm pretty sure Shadowpan's technically better in M+ as well. Oh god. Any tips that I'm gonna try out Shadowpan for the first time? So I could probably talk about the guide now. Okay, Jesus Christ, words. Compose yourself. Every season, I make a guide for how you play Conduit and how you play Shadowpan and what's changed for the season, what gear you want, what talent build you want, rotation, priority, all this jazz. I'll show you it. I'll show you my skeleton of it. Evidence that I'm actually making this thing. It's not all conspiracy. So my plan for this thing is that I want to get it out for next Wednesday, right? Like, the general idea is that I want this out for next Wednesday, ideally. But to put it into perspective, you see every single one of these red marks here. Every single one of these red marks here are things that I have to change on the basis, on the basis that all the information changed in the past 2 days, right? And I need to add more red marks. There needs to be a whole bunch of red marks here and stuff like that. We're already sat at 40 minutes, and I haven't even done the conduit section. And this isn't even the full shadow pan section. But basically, it's going to be long, right? It's going to be like the other guides. And a lot of people are like, long guide? Bro, just summarize this fucking thing up into like 5 minutes. No. No. Like, I don't like add all these things just because I think I will like, long video good, right? I think everything I try to put in here is important. But yeah, the TLDR to answer your question basically is the fact that everything covering anything you might want to know for Season 3 is going to be in this guide, right? All the changes, all the gear, right? What's my best in slot tier pieces, stuff like that. What stats do I want to be going for? All that sort of jazz. We've got any cool slides here? But you can see like the red section, for instance, is all like the tier set numbers and stuff, but this is all data. So all of this needs changing and stuff. Oh shit, let that sink in. Hold on, let me hide that. Yeah, that's the idea. What's the link to that? It's not out yet. Oh no, that's probably not what you're talking about. You're talking about the probably talking about the set stuff. But yeah, that's the idea with the guide. So TLDR, I'd like to have it out for Wednesday, but it might not be out on Wednesday. And obviously, NA reset is Tuesday. I just don't think it's possible. Like, if it is possible for me to get it out before, I will. But I have to finish it, and then I want obviously some Peak of Serenity, like people to have a look through it and like critique it or tell me what could be better and stuff. Because obviously, I want it to be as like accurate as possible. So that the idea is that you can watch it and then go back to it every so often and stuff, kind of like the Season 2 one. So it is being worked on. It's not like a mystery, but basically all your questions and stuff like that, like rotation, like if you ask to like see the rotation and stuff, it will all be there. Priority, talent builds, I'm going to go through all of that. It's pretty much the exact same as every other season, right? So you have that to look forward to. Yippee! Would I say Windwalker Monk Season 3 is in a better place than Season 2? Interesting question. How do we define better place? Is better place does more damage? Or is better place healthier? Right? Because the way I see it is that even though, like, right, we'll answer the damage thing first, right? It will do less damage overall compared to the start of Season 2, right? Like, Season 2 was the peak of this expansion for where Windwalker's going to be in terms of damage for, like, any tier, right? Season 2, we were stomping in Raid, and in M+, we were pretty good at the start. Obviously, we dropped off higher Keystone level. Season 3, the damage is not going to be, like, we're not going to be up there. You're not going to see 3 monks taken to Race Toward first. No 3 Windwalkers. I'd be surprised if you even see Trill right now, but I could see it. But in terms of like healthiness, like in the general like core of Windwalker, I really, really like it that the two hero talents are close to each other in power. Because nothing gripes me more than being forced to play a single hero talent and like your favorite hero talent being insanely weaker, that it's just not even viable. And if you want to play it, you get called like you're trolling basically. People won't accept you into groups. They'll like inspect you and see Shadow Pan and they'll be like, no, absolutely not. This guy can't play with us and stuff like that. Because that sucks, right? So in like terms of healthiness, with like diversity of builds and can I play Shadow Pan on this fight? Can I play Conduit on this fight? Can I do dungeons with either hero talents? I think it's in a really good spot. But obviously that's not everything, right? Like at the end of the day, a lot of people are fully focused on does it do damage? Is it meta? In which case, I'd say it's weaker than Season 2, right? Like it is just weaker than Season 2 in that regard. But I actually think it's better health-wise in this season than it was in Season 2. And Season 2 was good, but I think like the options and paths you can go, and as well as this, the way I see it is that I think it has space to get buffed, which is like it's a good thing. Like I don't think our damage is so low that we need imminent buffing. Like if we don't get a buff, holy shit, GG, it's over. But I think that like it'll be one of those things where as the weeks go on, Windwalker will kind of look a little bit rough around the edges, and it could potentially get a buff, and that'd be nice. It's always nice to get a buff, but on the other page, it's like you don't really want to be one of those specs that has to get a buff, right? Like you don't want to be like waiting for every patch note, like, oh, please buff us this week, please buff us this week, you know. So I don't know. I think we're fine. I think it's an okay. I think we're better than we were in season 1. We're worse than we were in season 2. This is like the middle of everything. I'd say like middle. Like if I was rating it out of 10, 5. If I was rating tier list, what, A to F, C, right? Like everything feels like middle. But middle's not bad. Like middle is balanced. And you know what Monk's all about? Balance and harmony, bitches. You know what I mean? Like, guys, it's thematic, you know? Everything's balanced, everything's chill, you know? Zen pilgrimage and all that shit. Yeah. Can you do an M plus key to make me more sad? Yeah, I can. I can do an M plus key. Holy shit, I've literally been, yeah, looked at the time. Actually procced a 1 hour and 20-minute constant yap. But, like, I wanted to try and make this video as, like, a... So a lot of the time it's just me playing M+, but I wanted this to kind of be, like, what are my thoughts on Windwalker? Because, you know, people will look back on this video going into the next tier, just in, like, the imminent thing before the guide and stuff like that. Because, obviously, the guide's the thing I want you to watch to know how to play in Season 3. But this is just, like, my thoughts, how is it feeling, stuff like that. So I think the yap was necessary, and I'm definitely going to get some more trolls on YouTube that are just like, haha, this guy's fucking coping, and they wouldn't be wrong. They wouldn't be wrong. But holy shit, did I just get 5 gifted subs? Hold up. Hold up. Hold up. Hold up. Hold up. My dude! Another 5 gifted, Coronach. You really didn't have to, but that's really, really kind of you. Holy shit. You absolute legend. Thank you so much. What's that, like 10? No, you really don't have to, but thank you so much. I'm really, like, I'm so lucky this bot's telling me these things, because on my OBS, it's just not popping up. But yeah, thank you. And if you got, like, a gifted sub, say thank you to Coronach. That's really, really kind of them. Yeah, we can do an M+ dungeon to kind of make ourselves all feel worse about the spec, right? Quickly, was there anything else I wanted to go over? I think I've yapped enough about the state of Windwalker. Oh, yeah, I did want to say one thing. If you guys... like have, well, I was going to say, if you guys have World of Warcraft accounts, but you know, you probably do have World of Warcraft accounts. Sia made a really cool post on like feedback of the tuning and stuff. It's so far like got one of the most likes I think I've ever. Oh shit, I haven't liked it, guys. Hide that. It's got like, all right. First off, I just haven't logged in. Okay, hide that real quickly. It's got like one of the most like amount of like the most amount of likes I think a Windwalker post ever got ever. It's just a really like breakdown of like everything that's happened with the changes and stuff. I think it's a fair understanding, but like my thing here that I really like the most is the one additional thought, which I think summarizes it up. Last week, it was decided by the class balance team that Windwalker was due a 5% aura buff. The changes this week have reduced our performance to below what it was before the 5% buff. That seems unintended. I really like that closing because it kind of hits the mark, right? Like, it just feels very strange that they gave us a 5% aura buff on Friday. And then, or not even Friday, maybe it was before that. But then now, we're at a weaker state than we were before that buff. So, yeah, if you have a Warcraft account, I'll link this as well. Give it a like. I'll like it later. Trust me, I just don't want to give away my Warcraft credentials on stream. Really good post, though. But you can see, like, I think the thing as well, 132 likes. This is a lot for like a post like this on the Blizzard forums and stuff, and it just shows like how many Windwalkers are like just kind of a little bit concerned about our position at the moment. Like I don't think we're in a bad state, but I do have questions on the tuning to a degree and stuff. But yeah, I think it was really well written, and I think it's definitely worth giving it a like. And my WoW has crashed. Nice, nice. Oh fuck this shit. Windwalker thoughts, rebrand to Brewmaster POV? Absolutely not. I think I'll be fine. Like, honestly, I think, like, once you get the core concept, I'm gonna hide the screen real quickly because it's so cooked. It looks like my game's broken, which it is. I'll go to chatting real quickly, and we'll hide it with... We'll hide it with this. There. We'll just hide it with this. Yeah, no, I think, like, once you get the concepts of Shadowpan and stuff, and you get the concepts of Conduit again, just understand like how to play the 2 tier sets, I think we'll be fine. Like, I think M plus might be where people feel like the biggest like issue in higher keystones, right? But not everybody plays higher keystones. Not everybody's a pusher, right? Like, it's actually such a small amount of players that actually push Mythic Plus and stuff, like in the grand scheme of things. So like overall, for like the majority of the player base, I think like it's fine. And in Raid as well, like I have touched on it as well, and it's not massive cope, it's like minimum cope. But like I think a lot of the fight profiles actually fit our playstyle, and if they don't fit one hero talent's playstyle, they can fit the other ones. And we have the flexibility now of going Conduit 2 minutes or 1 minute 30. Like I'm like, it is worth looking at these positives as well, because it's so easy for someone to just come on stream or make a YouTube video and be like, "It's over, boys. It's fucking done." Windwalker, it's D tier, it's F tier, it's cooked. But it is also worth looking at like how like you can actually get the most out of it, because no matter what, like you can still perform well on a spec, right? Like, if you're not like race to world first, right? You can still take your Windwalkers for raid. Your Windwalker could still top your DPS meters if they know how to play Windwalker well, and they're like pretty good, right? You know what I mean? Like, if you're just like raiding Mythic, you're just going for cutting edge and stuff like that. Like, stuff like this just shouldn't matter. Basically, what I'm trying to tell you is that if your raid leader asks you if Windwalker's good this tier, just tell them that it got buffed by 13%, and they'll be like, "Oh shit, 13%, that's a pretty big number. Yeah, come on, we'll take you to raid." And then you stomp everything, and you don't answer any more questions after that. That has been my tip for how you get into raid next year. That's what I'm going to tell my raid leader. 13% buff, baby. Just don't tell them the fine print. Please tell me there's a way we can play Conduit and the Lightning build. You can't, Faithless, unfortunately. It just, there's no viable sims with it. Which means that it's just not competitive enough. The issue is that can we get a talent tree up for this? I can, right? The issue is that you're so locked in now to this side of the tree, right? Which you were before, but you didn't have to take Slicing Winds. Well, now you have to take Slicing Winds, right? But also, Blackout Kick has lost so much value, and a lot of these are Blackout Kick focused like talents, right? That actually take you on the path to Last Emperor's Capacitor. It kind of, the tree gets completely scuffed up if you start trying to get Crackling Jade Lightning. Like, I don't think Crackling Jade Lightning, the two like abilities itself, if you could just take these two talents and not have to take the ones above, I actually think this would hold up pretty well with Conduit. But it's the fact that you basically have to commit to Blackout Kick to take these, right? And I think this is where the issue ensues, is that Blackout Kick just doesn't have a functional place with the haste that we get and the Heart of the Jade Serpent windows. It's just a button that we can't like give too much power to, and as a result, you can't go that. Like, let's say Crackling Jade Lightning was... Like, I think if Crackling Jade Lightning was in a talent node with Whirling Dragon Punch and Revolving Whirl, you would drop these two for Crackling Jade Lightning every day of the week. I think if Crackling Jade Lightning was over here instead of Jade Harmony and Phalanx Stomp, you'd probably pick them up as well. You'd probably drop these as well, to be honest. But you see my point, it's just too awkward. So if you do like Crackling Jade Lightning, you will probably want to be playing Shadow Pan, because you take it for every build there. Conduit, you just can't anymore. But yeah, worth mentioning that you have to play Slicing Winds as well for Conduit, which is going to be a deal breaker as well, I think, for a lot of players. You're either if you hate Slicing Winds, you're either going to have to come to terms with it and just, I suppose, in like the most blunt way, get over it. Like, but you have to play this. If you don't play Slicing Winds on Conduit, you can't really play Conduit. You don't get the tier set, essentially. Like, you balked your tier set. So that might be a deal breaker for some players as well. I don't think it's too bad. Slicing Winds is fine. Once you get used to Slicing Winds, you'll be fine, guys. Honestly, if you don't like it. Let me try to fix my WoW real quick. Try to end this task. Love that we probably play both hero talents. Yeah, me too, dude. Like genuinely, that's what makes me like the happiest. I love being able to have the choice, and have options. Otherwise, what's the point of having two hero talents? You know what I mean? What's the play for M+? The play for M+, I think, is going to be situational. Very similarly to how it was in Season 2 for a lot of dungeons. Because this is the one for Conduit. 8 million DPS and like a dungeon root sim, and then 8.3 for Shadow Pan. But obviously, each dungeon is going to vary so differently that these are just like ballpark estimations, right? On a a general idea for it. I think they're so close to each other that you can probably play whatever you want in M+, but from reading like actual theory crafting and stuff, Shadowpan might have some more edge at the higher level, when there are like larger packs and stuff like that, where you just get so much more value from the flurry strikes. But like in general schemes of things, I think you probably play either one, get away with it. You might do more damage on Conduit on one dungeon, more damage on Shadowpan on the other. All right, well it looks like this is balked, so we're just gonna have to make another tab over it because I will run a dungeon. I'm gonna close all this up now. I was gonna show you the tier sets, but I think at this point most of us know the tier sets and stuff. But both of these, since their initial concept, both tier sets have been nerfed in some way or another. Conduit got nerfed in its 8 seconds to 4 seconds, and Haste 15 to 10, and Shadowpan got nerfed in 30% to 20, 100% effectiveness to 70, and 100% increased charge generation to 50. Yeah, I think that's enough sims. Okay, I can't get rid of this page, so I'm just gonna have to open WoW up again. Lol. We'll get rid of that as well. I'm not actually BRB. I just need to open up Battle.net without giving away my email. Lol. Not that any of you would email me. Unless. And we'll just have two PTRs on top of each other. So what I realized last time, unfortunately, is because I technically have this WoW in the background, this WoW isn't going to make any sound, and there's nothing I can do about that. It's just a PTR thing. The PTR is just balked. Sometimes it crashes for me, and then I just cannot remove it. It's just shit. I don't know. I literally have no solution to it. It just is what it is. Can I link the Sims, please? I just closed all the tabs, but if you join the Peak of Serenity Discord, hold on, let me see if I can show you this. In the Peak of Serenity Discord, there's a theory crafting tab. Once you join it in the Windwalker section, and the theory crafting tab has all of these inside of them. So if you want any of the information on here, you can join that, and then you can look at all of this sim data because it's all like the theory crafters publish it all, so anyone can see it. You can see you can basically see what it was before. You can see what it is now. You can see comparisons, dungeon sims. So it's all in theory craft under General Sim APL TC. Yeah, no worries, mate. What would you play besides Monk? I have a rogue. I have a rogue that I'm playing in splits. Somehow I managed to get him to max eye level, which was pretty impressive, I'll be honest. We're going to play this version because I'm not a massive fan of Zun's Battle Gear and AoE. So we'll play Conduit, obviously, because the other thing's balked right now. Well, first off, there have to be people running dungeons. I don't even know if people are still running dungeons. We'll see. I'm going to run these two trinkets, even though I think it's better to probably run Nether, Prism, and Seaphorium. But I like this playstyle. I'm going to do it. I don't care. I'm dangerous like that. Okay, there are dungeons going. I fucking love Priory. It's like I'm playing live, so let's see if we can get into that one. 18 Dawnbreaker. Shee. See if I can get that one. Assassin or Outlaw? Predominantly Assassination. Although I guess on splits I'll have to play whatever is best at the time, which might be Subtlety. Subtlety tends to be good on prog. I try Outlaw, but I feel like I'm like I'm just too slow in the brain to play Outlaw. Does that kind of make sense? Any Outlaw players like sometimes feel that way, where it like I feel like I just need a bunch of practice on it to get like back into the like rhythm of how to like properly play it. But I feel like everything comes off a cooldown so often. Like if I thought this conduit was faster, right? I feel like Outlaw is just insane. Like something will proc that I didn't realize procced, and it will just break my brain, and then I'll freeze for like 2 seconds, which is like 7 GCDs, and it's over. Whereas Assassination, I feel like even in M+, I like it a lot more. I like Crimson Tempest. I like the pace of it. And I like the funnel damage that you can use with like Deathmark and Kingsbane. I just hate the RNG of Outlaw. I'm so bad at Outlaw that I don't even realize there's much RNG to it. What the hell? Oh, they took someone at the exact same time as me. What the hell is this? Just let me into your keys. It's not like I'm gonna throw them. Fuck this, I'm starting my own key with blackjack and hookers. What do we want to see? I want to see street. Now, it's just gonna be a 12. Is it? I'll do a 14, just fun. Just solely on the basis this is the last PTR stream, and this is the only dungeon that I've not streamed. I've streamed every other dungeon except this one, and that's just honestly because I haven't played it. Sure, sign up. I genuinely played it off stream once or twice. I don't get it. I go to this music room where there's a set of drums and like a piano and like a guitar, and you have to play music and shit. But every time everyone sticks me on the drums, and I feel like it's broken and doesn't work, and then I just die. So this time, I'm gonna guarantee I pick up the guitar, because that one seems OP. It's a crazy dungeon. Arakara? I was actually considering Arakara. I don't mind Arakara. I think it's fine. I think the only dungeons I'm miffed about being back are Priory and shit, dude, what's it called? Floodgate. The only reason I'm miffed about them is just because we've just literally had them, right? Like even though we had Arakara and Dawnbreaker in season 1, I don't mind too much because I've had like a 6-month break from them. But it just feels like 2 of the 8 dungeons are just dungeons that I've literally played for like months on end already. Just get back in them and do them again. Plus, I don't think they're very fun. I think Floodgate's fine. Ooh, Brewmaster. I think Floodgate's fine, but I think Priory can just no. You know what I mean? Like, it's funny because I think people voted for trinkets and stuff, but like, correct me if I'm wrong, but is Signet still good, or is it like are there better trinkets now just because of like new raid and new dungeons and stuff? Is Signet like still really good for some people? Because it sucks for Windwalker now. Like you don't want Signet anymore. I love making the Futurama blackjack and hookers reference. How it gets fun when you make it and the people around you haven't seen Futurama. Yeah, I used to watch loads of Futurama. I think I only remembered it because I started watching the new season that came out. I didn't even realize they released a new season, and I think he says it in one of the episodes. So now it's ingrained in my head again. Blackjack and hookers. Oh, good show, good show. I don't think it's as good as it used to be, but I still think it holds up, right? I think it's one of those things as well where I think like it's very similar to The Simpsons, right? Where regardless of the quality, the voice actors don't sound the same anymore because now they're old people. Like in the nicest terms, they're like ancient now. If had anyone like watched a new episode of The Simpsons and heard Marge's voice, for instance, right? Like it completely throws me out because it doesn't sound anything like and that's fair. The voice actor's older now. The voice doesn't sound the same, but it's just like holy shit, it throws me so out when I hear Marge's new voice. And it's the same for Fry in Futurama. When Fry speaks and I'm like, oh man, I can tell. I can tell because they're like I think what's he called? Bill? I don't know. He's like 70, 80 years old now, and he's doing voice actors for like a teenager. He's like, oh. Anyway, bit of a tangent. I need to create this key. So I'm gonna teleport to Donegal and create this key. Also, I mean, I've tried to get rid of this. I've really tried to get rid of this thing. So unfortunately, I'm pretty sure you're not gonna be able to hear sound. I can actually let me try. Uh, no, it just won't pick up the sound for the game. Unfortunately, yeah, sorry about that. It's because it looks like the other one obviously is taking precedent, right? So the sound is already attached to that one. So I tried to set it in OBS to be this other one, but it seems to think that the two WoW applications are the exact same. So there's nothing I can do. Cringers. Oh shit! They want to summon me. One sec. Getting key. Oh shit! They want to summon me. I haven't even got the key for this dungeon. Hold up, boys. Hold up. Oh no. Oh no no no. Is Funhouse Lens from Delve still something high because nothing beats it for me other than the myth track House of Cards? Yes. In season 2, Funhouse Lens is actually really strong. Like surprisingly strong. It's better than Signet of the Priory. If you can get it at a high item level. Like it's actually a really good trinket. Tazavesh, Streets of Wonder. And then we want a... What did I say this was? A 14? I guess. And then... Container. Give Keystone. Thank you. Give Tazavesh. Give 14. Okay, we can go. You have Little Wig Shadowlands add-ons disabled? Shit. That actually needs to be turned on. That actually has relevance here. Now, when I tell you that I'm going to die like 15 times in this dungeon, I'm not even exaggerating. My brain just doesn't function very well with this dungeon. Would you believe me if I told you that I cast Slicing Winds into the first boss's, like, frontal, like, twice, and died off stream? Alright, just for clarification's sake, we're running Conduit, Shadowpan's broken. Yep, can't run Shadowpan, unfortunately. Conduit, not as strong as it was a week ago. We're running the 1 minute 30 build. Very similar to the previous iteration of the build. Just for practice sake, I'm actually going to run Inner P. No, I'm not. I'm going to keep it as it is. So this is like one of the variations, and we're going to be running Nether Spear, Nether Prism, and Ritual Forge, and playing them off of each other. That's the idea, anyway. The one big downside to Nether Prism is if you die, you lose all your stacks, and it feels horrible. So the goal is not to die. So if I die, I will be screaming. I won't, but... Does Blizzard even know it's broken? Seems like they don't care. They will know. They'll 100% know that it's broken. I just think it's one of those classic Storm, Earth, and Fire is a super buggy ability, and it's somehow bugged out. But I'm sure they'll fix it. Like, I refuse to believe that they wouldn't release it fixed. Is that a crazy take? That's a crazy take. It's not a crazy take. Oh boy. Surrender your weapons and follow me. I like this initial pull. It's just satisfying, you know? It's just like a straight pull on a lot of targets. 22 million? We are so back, boys. Screenshot it. Screenshot it. Send it to your friends. 20 million? Fucking freelo. It's more damage than I did the other week. So the one big difference now is going to be the timing. So I said a lot of the times, like I was judging this up on 16, 17 seconds previously between packs and stuff for cooldowns. Now I have to judge 20 seconds, which arguably is harder, right? Trying to judge like a 20-second window is a lot harder. Oh, why did no one interrupt that, including me? Oh god. No, I hate this trash pack. I can't die. I literally cannot die. Otherwise I lose my nether prism stacks and then I just go AFK. Oh, I missed my haste, dude. No, wait, where are these going? Come back. Do I pop coolies here? This pack's almost dead. I mean, fuck it, yeah, I guess, right? Oh, shit. I know what I've done wrong here. I, need to change the slots of my trinkets. Can you do that, Nem Plus? No. Oh, that's really bad, actually. Oh, well. GG. That's actually bad. It's not worth explaining, but TLDR, I'm going to be casting Nether Prism every single time that I send out cooldowns, just because of my macro. Which isn't, like, inherently bad, but it means that I'm running one less trinket for the entire dungeon. Which is inherently bad. Ow. Nobody puts Windwalker POV in the corner. Okay, yes they do. Ow, that hurts. Oh shit. Maybe it was because I was in combat. Hold on. Maybe because we're out of combat. I can just switch these around. Oh, please, Blizzard. I could change the macro. It's not going to work how I want it to, though. Fuck. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. It's just a PTR dungeon. Who cares? Woo! Woo! Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to... This is fucking bullshit. This is... Is this my fault? A little part of me wants to say it's not my fault, but it is, right? I shouldn't have attacked the boss until I knew he had aggro. I shouldn't have rezzed when... I shouldn't have rezzed when... I should have looked at where the spot was. Oh. Guys, you gotta trust me. I'm not bad at video games. You gotta trust me on this one. You gotta take my word for it. Oh my god. Well, that was something. Well, I imagine he did... And no, like, blame to the Brewmaster. What he did is absolutely fine. I imagine he must have taunted one of these two, and then went and hit the boss. And then, because I hit the boss... So I just assumed, like, tank will have aggro, right? And then it was just over. Because I didn't even use any cooldowns, right? I just Tiger Palmed it. Zoon didn't even go off. So Tiger Palm was enough to steal aggro. So essentially, I shouldn't have attacked the boss before he was ready. And then I shouldn't have rezzed on top of a swirly. But shit, it's funny to watch, isn't it? Like, funny, haha, he makes funny mistakes. This guy makes guide videos? Yeah, I know. Crazy. I'm showing Blizz we need a buff, that's all that's all I'm doing. True. Look, tank damage. If anything, I was saving myself the embarrassment from dying from this boss in another way. So really, this was intentional. How you play like the rest of us. Oh, this is how all my dungeons go. I think this is going to cause a lot of wipes on a lot of groups. This first boss is actually kind of hard. Like, in a crazy way. I don't think these mechanics are hard, or the fact it steals your weapon and pick it up, but I think the cell mechanic is actually... Maybe I'm just melee-brained. Also, I can't release because I tried to log out, so is my character bricked? Wait, no, where... I actually brick it? Yeah, there we go. Oh, they're going again. Okay, hold on. One sec. How do I get out? No, this is important. This is important. I need to switch these around. From their POV, they've just seen someone say 1 second and leave the dungeon. Fucking hell. 1 sec, be right back, guys. Leaves dungeon. On the plus side, nobody left, which means everybody actually wants to see this dungeon through. So that's kind of cool. I need to buy 10 seconds so I get my trinket. I'll NPC walk it. Also, we're going to reset all the damage meters, because nothing prior to this counts, right? Is that fair? Is that handshake deal on that one? Nothing before this counts, so it's not an accurate representation of damage in the dungeon. So the dungeon technically starts now. Everything's reset. That seems fair. Seems good to me. Since you can trinket the cage, human racial, are there other ways to get out of the cage? Can you transcendence it? What? Like, are there actual, like, could a hunter technically faint death it? Like, is there ways to escape it other than... Could I spatial rift it? Holy shit, spatial rift. You can't okay, you can't pre-immune. Oh, no, wait, I've seen this pool before. Oh, okay, we're just doing this? Fine. Wait, I thought we were just doing this! It turns out that we are, in fact, not just doing this. Surprise. Joke's on me. Joke's on me. Oh! Holy shit, that split... That's crazy punishing, by the way. Note to self, if you ever get hit by a beam slicer, you are dead, because it does dot damage. It's not like a, It's basically not like just the initial hit, it'll tick you down. We learn stuff here. Yeah, I'd also hit me with a GG and leave. Oh, man. I should have finished at the yap, right? Shouldn't I? I should have just been like, right, we've done our yap. We're just gonna finish at the yap, call it a day, get back to the guide video. But I'm doing another dungeon. That one doesn't count. You can cloak AMS it if you play classes like that. Okay, so diffuse magic. No, then. I start to feel good about myself. Don't know why. What the fuck? Get in my dungeon. I need to fill this thing out so that people actually apply. Get in. Yeah, I will just do this dungeon. Hopefully get further. I've seen, yeah, I don't know about bringing them into the boss. I think it's probably fine to do it like that, but obviously just don't get hit by the beams. Just don't be stupid, right? And I am not a very smart man. I've also seen it where you do all that trash, and then when the boss is spawning, you pull the 4 dudes first, kill them, then go back to the boss. I kind of like that one. I don't think you pull all 4 into the boss unless you're like racing. I guess you could probably pull. I guess if you're 14 streets, I'm really keen for this dungeon, guys. I'm good. I'm good for it. Please invite me. I'm good for it. They're not going to invite me. Oh, I guess I'll sign up for Priory. I just. It's just like. It just feels like it's the last thing I want to do is run a Priory on the PCR, but. Shit, I'm getting desperate. Also, this is not a good sign, by the way. This is an awful sign. Oh my god. Surely these classes think we're good though, right? Because if you're just like if you're like someone from another spec, right, and you've just seen the you've seen the notes and you see Windwalker 13% damage, you're like, oh shit, these guys are really good now. How do they know? Who told them? Like who told this paladin that we like things are bad right now? Who told this shaman? Who's leaking the information? It's one of you. Someone in here has been leaking this information. Oh no, it's Priory. I I fucking hate this dungeon so much. Oh. On the plus side, I can't die in this dungeon because I know it. I'm telling everyone we're really bad. It was me. I'm telling everybody that we're really good. So, like, if we balance it out, we're actually mid, which is pretty much where we are. So, together, we're working. How's it going? Despair or happiness? About mid, Mateo, honestly. If you want like the full like my thoughts and everything, like a breakdown of all the damage and everything, you're on YouTube, so it's probably best to like skip back because I go through like all the sims and everything like that. If you wanted like an actual in-depth hour-long yap, which honestly not everybody wants, so that's fair enough. But like TLDR, um, mid, like genuinely just mid, but mid's not bad. And I think we like it's a lot worse than M plus. I think is the issue, but see, and there's the thing. I feel like I'm like about to proc a yap again because every time I say something, I think I need to say like 10 more sentences to like kind of like give context for it. Because like now I want to talk about how actually, but we're not that bad in M plus as long as you're not pushing for the highest keys, and we're actually not that bad in raid because all the different bosses have different like functionalities, and you fit. Oh no, I can't. I've done it for an hour already. Mid. I'm just gonna go mid. I genuinely just proc myself. I just proc myself into a constant like cope hole. But if raid is mid, I'm okay in my rank 1000 raid. Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, if Windwalker's mid, you're probably fine in your rank 100 guild. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, rank 100 guild, you'd be fine. If you can play Windwalker, like, it goes for any spec, yeah? If you can, right. If you can play Survival Hunter, you are the best Survival Hunter in the world, and you're in a rank 1000 guild, rank 100 guild, your guild should take you because you're going to do better because you are just so good at that spec, right? Like you are going to perform to the optimum level of that spec, which is probably going to be better than people like who are just playing like, not as well, like mid level of their spec. You know what I mean? Like it really like it really things like this really only matter for like the high end. Is that cope? Like everything I say feels like it's cope, but like I'd say this even if we were the best, right? I promise you I would. Nah, I'm just kidding. I'd say we're fucking amazing and everyone else sucks. Good times. Oh man. Put it this way, you're gonna see a lot less Windwalkers this tier. which is kind of sad. I like that lots of people are trying it out. But like a lot of people like re-roll. Like you see, I think you'll see a lot of warlocks this tier. I think warlocks. I think surprisingly, I think you will see a lot of DKs, but they will be DKs that like prep their DK before they were like kind of made worse. But they're not bad. DK's by no means bad, but they're just not a conglomerate powerhouse. Where does high key start for me? Yeah, like maybe 17 this season. It'll go even higher next season, right? It should do just because of how things work out. Like what? No, not even. Actually, no, that's not true. 17 is too low. I'd say 19 for this season, like 19, 20. Like not even joking. Like because like we're talking about ceilings here. So like a 16, 17, like a lot of people can do. You can do that if you put the effort in and you redo the key over and over. Eventually, you will get that done, right? But there are like if you're trying the same thing on a 20, you're like the margins slim down so much more unless you're being omega boosted. But if you're like just playing like on your skill level, you just suffer so much. You take much bigger hits from things. Like I'm just like thinking about like things like Blazicon, right? On a plus 20, if you don't have a defensive for that, which you won't at sometimes, it is dead. It's just over. Like there's nothing that can save you. Whereas some other specs are just going to have naturally more health or naturally better like survivability. Like our strength's always been boss damage, and I think that's still going to hold true. Because that one, no, not that one. That one. I mean, kind of that one. Like, if you look at like our AOE build compared to like our single target build, more or less, they're so similar. I say it a lot though. A lot of specs do have to like fully change their talents to go AOE, or they have to fully commit to single target, right? Whereas that's like always one of our strengths is that we don't really have to fully commit to AOE or single target because a lot of our AOE and our single target talents are kind of the same thing. Care trinkets. This guy fucking knows. Who told him? It's fucking one of yous. One of yous told him that my trinkets were bad. They're correct this time. Someone leaked. You think there'll be a turbo boost again for season 3? Yeah, I don't see why there wouldn't be. I think what they're trying to do at the moment is they're trying to make it so that you get really strong by the end of raids and stuff. Like I just think that's like it seems to be like the way they're aiming for things. It's like by the end of a tier, you are just like really strong. Like you can clear the raids like a lot faster and stuff like that. It feels like it anyway. Which isn't a bad thing. I mean, I can't see anything on the floor, but I mean, this is usually how Priory goes, right? Tank? Tank? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Why is he standing still? Come back. Look, see? Wow! It's good, no? Everybody's like, Windwalker sucks. Just don't look at the dungeon level. Hide that. Hide the dungeon level. Hide the fact that it's the first pull. He didn't even lust. Not dying like a monkey really helps at this level. Not dying like a monkey helps at really like any level. I promise you. Like, like not die. Like if like I think the biggest thing you can be like even if like you're not the best at a spec or something, if you're at least consistent with playstyle and stuff, like if you're not dying like dying to different things every other pull, if you can like get better at that, that's probably one of the biggest gains you can probably get. Right, just being a consistent player. Also being predictable. I was always told. always told that the best thing like you want to try and be is predictable. Like predictability is so important because you gotta be aware that like in a raid of 20 people, if you like start like panicking or sketching out and you get a mechanic and you start doing crazy things, everybody else panics because they don't know what you're doing, right? And that will lead to them making mistakes. People will inevitably die. Like the best thing you can always be is just predictable, doing the same thing every time. If you're hit by a mechanic on prog and you run to one spot, if you can run to that spot every time and it's fine, then just do that. You know, like, and then eventually, like, if you're predictable and people know exactly what like you're gonna do, and if everyone can do that in a raid, that's so important, right? Um, Obviously, higher ranks you're looking for and stuff. Obviously, like optimization and damage you can put out on a spec and stuff. But I think like predictability is so important. To a degree, prep as well. Prep as well is so important. Um, like if you watch my streams from like last season and stuff, you can see like all the amount of time I put into like timeline reminders and stuff and like sorting out defenses and stuff. Even like just spending like 10-15 minutes per boss. Like I know it's not like obviously doable in every situation, but like it's always better to do that than get like one extra piece of gear. If you go into a boss and you know when I need to spot my defensives, when do I need to do this, when's this damage coming in, like all this stuff like does just add up, and it's better than you having that like one slightly better piece of gear, right? Yeah. I don't know. It's a game though, right? Like, it is just a game. Oh, slow fist of fury. I'm gonna cringe. Am I winning? I don't feel like I'm winning. It does not feel like I'm winning. It feels like we're losing. Holy shit. The damage is insane. I just don't think we're killing the trash pack fast enough, unfortunately. Tank dead. Trying to look at this damage. Warlocks are pretty good, eh? Warlock must be such a satisfying class to play, because our damage is like, we start off our burst really high and then go down, right? Like, it looks like a Warlock starts off really low and then ramps. I reckon that's probably more satisfying from, like, just a... Like, if you're looking at the damage meters and you're like, you know you're going to go to the top slowly over time, that must feel so much more satisfying than knowing you're at the top and you're going to slowly go down. Because, like, at the top, at the start of the pull, like, it's like, all the way me. But then as time went on, this Warlock was like, whoop. Anyway, I don't know. I don't know about keys. Unfortunately, we're just wiping keys at this point. So I probably will call it there because it's been about 2 hours. I said it was be a short stream. It wasn't going to be like a proper PTR stream. Because I really need to just get on with this guide. In terms of streams, I don't know. There won't be any more PTR. There's just nothing new to show, right? In terms of like dungeons and stuff. I might like stream once or twice in the new season, like before, or in the new tier before the season comes out. But even then, it's like it's just M0s and stuff. So what I might do is I might just obviously try and get this guide for Wednesday. We're gonna bookmark Wednesday, but if it's a bit later, just understand that like a lot's changed in the past 2 days, so a lot has to be rewritten. And I try to put like a lot of effort into it. Like it's not like just me yapping at the screen. Like trust me, I do put work into it to try and make it like visually understanding and stuff. So it does take time. It's not just a simple speak and post sort of thing. Not that those are bad, but you know what I mean. But yeah, the fact that like next week is just M0s and delves. Like, do you guys really want to watch delves? Fucking, and I don't even want to play delves. And there'll be no raid as well. We've decided we're not raiding. Liberation of Undermine. We're just taking a week off. So if anything, I might probably just do the guide and maybe like one or maybe like a video or something. I don't even have any video ideas. Watch how much damage you're doing this M0, guys. Windwalker's busted this week. Everybody re-roll quickly. Yeah, I don't know. So the TLDR is that I wouldn't expect to stream for like a week or so, but like once we get into the splits and stuff, I'll be streaming everything. So we'll have on the Wednesday of the patch, I'll be streaming like for like 6 or 7 hours. It's gonna be disgusting. And then the next day we'll be streaming, and 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 guess what? The next day, well, we won't be streaming, it'll be a break. Then the next day we'll be streaming. So basically TLDR, well, under the assumption I'm in on bosses, right? If I'm not in for a boss, which is highly likely this tier, I don't expect to be in for every boss, unfortunately. I'd like to be. I mean, everybody wants to raid, obviously. That makes sense, no? But I'm not counting my eggs. I think if I'm not in for a boss, it'll either be like, I'll just try push M+ earlier this tier, or I will just watch them do the boss, you know? But not stream it. Like if I'm watching my guild do a boss, I'm not gonna commentate stream it. I'm not Dratnos. Bro, your XP is 2.2. Why are you even streaming? Honestly, based. Absolutely based take. What's the add-on called for that interface, bro? Which one? The one in the middle? I've got to imagine it's the one in the middle, right? If it is the one in the middle, it's called Luxthos. Yeah, it's called Luxthos Monk. And it's a weak aura. He does one for every single spec, so if you have ults and stuff, you can get it as well. So it is a weak aura. But if you just literally type Luxthos Monk on Google or whatever, it will be the first thing that pops up, and it's just a weak aura that you import. Really cool, really useful. You can tweak so many like things you can tweak with it as well. So you can change like loads of stuff with it. I'll paste it for you. I'll paste it for you. Luxthos Monk. And then all you do is you click to copy, and then you go to your weak auras and you just import it because it's a weak aura pet code. For damage, Dark Iron racial or Orc. For PvP, I have no idea, mate. I'm not really a PvPer. I couldn't tell you what either of those racials do. Doesn't Orc... I was going to say, doesn't Orc remove poisons? No, that's just Dwarf, isn't it? Dwarf removes that. No, for PvP, I'm not too sure, but I think there are some PvP streamers, but if not, you can always ask in the Pika Serenity PvP Discord part of stuff. They've got some active people in there that know what they're talking about. Asking me a PvP question is just, you are going to get a horrible answer. PvP is play Orc. Okay, well, we've got tons of answers here. Play Orc. You heard that first from me, by the way. I told you, play Orc. It reduces stuns. That's pretty OP, you know. I'm not reading the chat. Trust me. You got the link for the forum thread to like? Yes, good. That's actually good. Smart. I probably should have linked that, right? That would have been clever. Let me get that for you too. Ooh. Says I got disconnected, but I'm back. So I'm gonna pretend I'm back. Let's all just pretend I'm back. If you did like, if you want to like look through that forum post just about the state of Windwalker and the fact that we got kind of nerfed when it said we were buffed, it's an interesting read, and it will also help you like understand. It does help you understand why a lot of people might be calling the 13% buff a nerf. Like if you're not like in the loop of the PTR and stuff, and you hear loads of people saying we've been nerfed, even though it says on paper it's a 13% buff, it helps understand that and from the context of like what happened on the PTR and stuff with our tier set. So useless if you want to give that a like. It's like the most liked Windwalker forum post I've ever seen in my life, so that's pretty cool as well. I don't know if it'll bring any change because I don't really know how much they pay attention to forums and stuff like that. Let's be real, but I think it's more the idea and like just the unity of Windwalkers all coming together and being like, huh? But TLDR, I don't actually think we're in a bad spot. I think we'll be fine. Yeah. Thank you for tuning in. We'll try and get the guide. We'll try and get the guide. Oh no, come back. I know you're talking about Lux Loss. Yeah. So that'll be it for today. Just a big old yap on all the sorts going on, and yeah, guide soon. TLDR. If you're interested as well, I'm sure most people do watch this, but there'll be the Max stream tonight. The Max where he talks about all the specs and stuff. So if you're like interested in like an actual like tier list, obviously I'm not a believer in tier lists, right? I think tier lists are just whatever. But if you want to see like what the thoughts are of every other person's spec and stuff like that, he's streaming that later on tonight. I'm going to be watching it basically because it's interesting to see what other people rate their specs and stuff and to kind of get an idea. But always take it with a grain of salt. Always take it with a grain of salt. But if there's any tier list that I'd say that's probably the most accurate of any tier list, it's probably going to be that one because he gets like actual people that, you know, play every spec and has their own individual opinion. But at the same time, you know, it is also, it's a tier list. How accurate can they be? But that's what I'm going to be doing later on. You can rewind the VOD on YouTube if you need. Yeah, if you've got lots of questions and stuff, you can rewind the VOD. I've got one on YouTube, and I'm also put a VOD up on Twitch as well. I'll start doing that as well. The YouTube one's, I think, is probably easier to use, but I think Twitch one's okay as well. But I always VOD on YouTube, and on Twitch I have started doing VODs as well, because why not? Okay. Yeah, cool hanging out, chatting with you on this awesome Friday. Thanks for all the chatting, all the comments, all the hanging out, the subs, the dubs, the wubs, the despair, the sage. It's kind of crazy actually that this entire stream we didn't run a single M+ dungeon. We just yapped. That's kind of cool, right? Like, I don't remember running any dungeons. Do you? Nope. All right, I've yapped enough. I'll probably see you next week. Watch out for the guide. Join the Discord if you want notifications on that as well. But yeah, have a lovely weekend, and good luck with the new patch. Enjoy that 13% power, which isn't actually 13% power, but don't worry about that too much. Okay, bye. Okay.